2024-25 season has been filled with struggle and hardship for the Fordham Rams. Losers of 7 consecutive games, Fordham currently sits in last place in the Atlantic 10 with a 3-14 record. Wednesday's home finale against George Washington felt like a low point as the Rams were dominated from the opening tip and eventually fell 81-58. With the regular season coming to a close tonight against Rhode Island, the Maroon and White have run out of time to steady the ship. Now, it's about ending what's been a rough and winding journey on the right foot. Fordham has already beaten Rhode Island earlier this year on a last-second Matt Zona tip-in at the Rose Hill Gym. Although that meeting was over a month ago, Fordham has not won a game since. This afternoon in Kingston, the Fordham Rams have the chance to dispel their Atlantic 10 demons and head into tournament play next week in D.C. with a performance to be proud of. It's Fordham against Rhode Island from Ryan Center next on WFUV Sports.
From the Ryan Center here in Kingston, Rhode Island, this is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports. I'm Nick Guzman alongside Chaz McAdams. Fordham against Rhode Island in just a few minutes. Before that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for our Coach's Sound. I got a chance to sit down with Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Ergo just yesterday. Take a listen. Nick Guzman here alongside Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Ergo ahead of their Atlantic 10 regular season finale against Rhode Island. Coach, obviously the tough loss last time out against GW. How have you felt the guys have responded in the last couple of days?
Well, yesterday we had a team meeting, staff, team only. It lasted about 2.5 hours, and it was very powerful. And I think everybody still believes that we can beat anybody in this league and we can go on a run just like anybody else can. And that's a confident situation. I think today's practice is going to be fantastic and energetic. But then again, the last couple of practices prior to GW were some of the best that we've had in 2 months. So we just came out flat. I don't know what it was, quite frankly, but I think these guys have confidence in each other, have confidence in what they're capable of. And I think we're going to play with a high energy and a lot of physicality tomorrow. Whether or not that equals a win or not, I'm not quite sure. It's hard to win on the road specifically. But I do believe that our team is more connected now than it was yesterday.
Coach, this is a Rhode Island team that you guys obviously beat earlier in the year, but what do they do specifically as a group that can make your life difficult?
Yeah, I mean, they can score the ball. They're really talented. They can get out in transition. They're really effective when they get out in transition. So we have to do a really good job of not turning the ball over, making them play in the half court, and then limiting their opportunities from beyond the arc. And then when the shot goes up, we cannot allow them to get second chance points. First time around, we dominated the offensive glass, but we did give up some crucial offensive rebounds inside the last 4 minutes that made it difficult, and we had to win at the end. But so when the shot goes up, we got to find bodies. Again, we got to prove to each other that we're willing to be physical. If you don't get the rebound, that's good, but your man cannot. So we got to just make sure we're putting bodies on, getting back to playing the gritty, grimy basketball that we're used to.
Coach, not even thinking about the result, coming up in this Rhode Island game, if there's just one thing you could see from this group to let you know that they're ready for the A-10 tournament, what would that be?
The energy, the confidence. They believe that we're capable of beating anybody as long as we learn to communicate a little bit better and be more tough and physical. We just got to see or feel what it is to get over that hump. And once we do that, I think it's the rest is history. We believe and have shown that we can play with absolutely anybody in this conference. For an extended period of time. We just got to learn how to do it for 40 minutes.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Go Rams.
Welcome back to the Ryan Center here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. We're just moments away from tip-off in the Battle of the Rams between the Fordham Rams and the University of Rhode Island Rams. The Atlantic 10 regular season finale for both these teams. And Chaz, starting with the Rams, the Fordham Rams, that is. For both the Rams, it hasn't been the season they wanted. Fordham specifically, 11-19 overall, 3-14 in the A-10. They've lost 7 in a row. Last time out was that 81-58 loss in their home finale against GW, probably Fordham's worst performance of the season. Just looking for any kind of momentum at this point to take to DC with you next week.
Yeah, I mean, everyone makes the tournament, so that's how you got to think about it. I think the Rams have known that they were going to play on Wednesday since about Richmond. So at this point, wins are not about your matchups. It's not about your seeding. You just want to learn how to win. So come Wednesday in the nation's capital, you're ready. When it's win or go home, you're hoping for the former, not the latter.
Rhode Island, on the other hand, Chaz, 17-12, 6-11 in the A10. They were 6-7 2 weeks ago, but 4 straight losses down the stretch have made them a day one team here at the A10 tournament coming up next week, coming off a loss to St. Joe's, their 4th loss in a row in Philadelphia. Chaz, this is a Rhode Island team that's Fordham's last win was against this Rhode Island team in early February. It's been a mixed bag for Rhodey this season.
Absolutely, led by a lot of heavy senior class. We just saw them honored here at the Ryan Center in-house. You got Sebastian Thomas, one of the most exciting players in this league. This Rhode Island team had all the talent in the world, and it's kind of the last excuse for head coach Archie Miller. With that big contract he got 2 years ago, he got hired late. He wasn't able to recruit too well, and then he got a whole new team in his sophomore year. This year they retained and added talent when they had Fuchs, that sophomore, and there just seems to be no excuses this last skid. They were in 7th last time these Rams hooked horns and really clashed in the Bronx. Now in South Kingston at Rhode Island. Let's see if the Rhode Island Rams can turn it around, and can Rhodey get as ruckus as it seems on this beautiful senior night in scenic Kingston, Rhode Island.
Yeah, URI enter the final day of the season this afternoon in 11th place in the A10. That is day one territory. Fordham currently in 15th. That's dead last. We have starting lineups for you for both teams, starting with the Fordham Rams, Jaffe Medor, Jackie Johnson, Ramad Dean, Zach Riley, and Abdu Timbila. Jackie Johnson, Chaz, back in the lineup after that one game, coming off the bench against GW.
Yeah, and you realize you need the scoring. As much as Keith Urgo wants defense, the on-court production of this team has been based on the offensive end of the basketball. You have to play to your strengths. And in terms of offense, Jackie Johnson is your biggest strength. An absolute electric factory, can hit a shot from 40 feet out. Love his touch off the window. Great player, plays hard, plays the right way.
On the Rhode Island side of things, the familiar starting 5 for them: Sebastian Thomas, Jaden House, Jamarcus Lawrence, David Green, Javante Brown. A lot of experience, 4 seniors, Chaz, in that starting 5, but Sebastian Thomas clearly is the star man.
Absolutely. Sebastian Thomas, PG1. He is the man with the plan. He's out there cutting up defenses. Great defender, can steal the ball, plays both ends. A guy that you want taking the last shot. He's one of the most clutch, if not the clutchest player in the Atlantic 10. We just saw up on the big screen here at the Ryan Center that shot he hit against Providence College, the Friars. This guy takes the big shots every time out. He's an absolute killer on the court.
We are just about set for tip here at the Ryan Center. Fordham in maroon, Rhode Island in white. Rams will be moving from right to left in the first half. Rhode Island from left to right. It's been a long road to this point, and I think both team seasons have not gone the way they would have hoped for, but a chance to end on the right note here this afternoon in Kingston.
Absolutely.
It will be Javante Brown against Abdu Timbila on the opening tip. We're underway. Brown wins it into the backcourt. Rhode Island will possess first through Sebastian Thomas. Into the front court at the URI logo. Thomas gets the screen up high, dribbles right into the lane, will pull up from mid-range. Thomas off front of the rim and out. Rebound down low by Brown, who puts it back up and in. Javante Brown gets Rhode Island on the board.
The bigs on Rhode Island, they love cleaning that offensive glass. Fordham got to box out every time a shot goes up.
For Fordham the other way, Zach Riley has it straight away, up high. Push to this near wing from Medor. He'll try the triple, that's short, off the front of the rim. Rebound David Green. Lawrence the other way for Rhode Island. For Green up top. Again, Lawrence straight away. Dean watching him. Lawrence drives right. Back up top for Brown. To the far wing, David Green. Screen from Brown at the free throw line. Lawrence now gets to the lane. Righty hook shot, that goes. Tough shot in the lane from Jamarcus Lawrence. It's 4-0 Rhode Island early.
That ball movement for the Rhode Island Rams, using all the shot clock to get the bucket they wanted, the bucket they needed.
Johnson has it on the far wing for the Rams. High screen from Timbila. Johnson to Riley, now in the near wing, Jaffe Medor. Medor, screen from Timbila, takes it right. Now back left, Medor to the near corner for Dean. Takes the 3, gets inside, pass up top for Medor with 7 seconds on the shot clock. Straight away, Riley drives right towards the baseline. 3 to shoot. Riley needs an option. Timbila wasn't paying attention to the shot clock, and that's going to be a shot clock violation on the Rams. There was time for Abdu to try that from mid-range.
Yeah, and he practices that big mid-range shot. You got to have more in-game awareness in the 94-by-50.
4-0 Rhode Island, 18:24 to go, first half. Lawrence in the backcourt. 2 Rams pressed. Jackie Johnson did not, and Rhode Island able to break that pressure. Down low for Javonte Brown. Timbila watching him. Brown inside for Green. Size mismatch on Johnson. He flips it up and in. 6-0 Rhode Island, 2 minutes gone by.
And the looks that they've gotten have been fantastic. They're efficient looks under the rim. They're getting the mismatches they want, as we saw Green on Johnson down low.
Timbila, top of the key for the Rams. Pass left to Riley, straight away. The near wing for Dean in the corner for Jaffe Medor. Medor takes it baseline, spins into the lane, straight away for Dean. He'll try the 3, blocked up high by Green. And the long pass ahead, Green has it behind the Fordham defense. Dean gets back. On the far side, Lawrence cuts inside. The underhand layup is good. An early timeout from Keith Ergo. It's 8-0 Rhode Island, 2 minutes and 20 seconds in.
Yeah, and you gotta call that timeout there. More prepared. Clearly the Rams aren't liking the looks that they're seeing defensively. Coach Keith Ergo had to stop the bleeding.
Chaz, in your assessment, what's gone wrong in these first 2 minutes, 20 seconds or so? 8-0 Rhode Island, nothing really clicking on offense, and easy looks at the basket for the Rhode Island Rams.
Yeah, it's the lack of communication, and the looks are looking way too easy for the team from South Kingston right now. The team from the Bronx has to start locking in mentally. They don't look like they're there. Jackie Johnson not in sync with his other 4 teammates on the court. The press gets broken. Zach Riley didn't have any help defense on that last fast break attempt. There has to be more on-court communication.
Rhode Island 4 of their last 4 from the field and 4 of 5 to start. This is a Rhode Island team that was 6-7 in the A-10 about 2 weeks ago and didn't really think they were going to be a day 1 team. But 4 straight losses, including that blowout loss to St. Joe's on Wednesday, really puts Rhode Island in a tough spot heading into the Atlantic 10 tournament, a spot they didn't think they'd be in just a few weeks ago. Some substitutions here for the Rams coming out of the timeout. Jameer Tripp, Ryan Pettis, Josh Rivera on the floor, along with Matt Zona. So 4 new Rams. Jaffe Medor, the only remainder from the starting lineup. Medor up high, will drive to the lane. Up high for Tripp. Tripp drives right, gets inside, couldn't get the roll on the layup. Rebound Javonte Brown. Fordham still looking for their first bucket. Sebastian Thomas up high. Matt Zona watching him. Thomas bounce pass down low. Brown stripped away by Pettis. Fordham back the other way. Tripp in transition. Up high for Pettis. Down low, low block Rivera. Straight away Zona, his 3 in and out. Nothing going for the Rams. Sebastian Thomas, the rebound, will push the pace the other way. Thomas to the lane. Inside, stolen away again by Pettis. Pettis out to the far wing. Tripp, frantic pace to this one early, looking for Zona inside. It got to him. That's going to be a foul as Matt Zona went up for the shot. 16:45 to go. First half. Take a breath. 8-0 Rhode Island.
So those looks, the missed Tripp layup was a great look in the transition to the offense. Josh Rivera, great vision to pass from the block out to his Zona. That's a 3. That's a shot he likes to take. And then that last dump from Jameer Tripp as well into Zona, who's able to get 2 at the charity stripe. So that timeout that Coach Keith Ergo just called was so key. That stopped the bleeding. It's not to show that you're shaken up and show that you're losing things. He just had to make sure his guys tuned it up a little bit, tighten things up.
First free throw's good from Matt Zona to get the Rams on the board this afternoon. Second free throw's perfect as well. So it's 8-2 Rhode Island, 16:45 to go first half. Fordham in their full court pressure. Cross-court pass from Lawrence to Thomas. Medor deflected that. It's going to go out of bounds on the far side. Rhode Island will keep it. But Fordham pressuring in the backcourt early on in this one. We saw that in the second half against GW with mixed results.
Yes.
In the backcourt, Thomas across the timeline against Ryan Pettis, who's up against him. Thomas, the screen up high, drives left into the lane, straight away. Green, his triple off the heel. Matt Zona skies in for the rebound. Pettis ahead for Medor on the far side. Medor out to the far wing for Jameer Tripp. Straight away, Josh Rivera. He'll drive left towards the baseline. He got stripped. Last touch off Josh. Active hands from Jaden House. And it's going to be Rhode Island basketball. Fordham turnover.
And they're going to maintain the press here again. I don't hate that look from Josh Rivera. A little deflection that didn't go his way. The Rams have to keep attacking the basket, sinking those perimeter guards, and getting the ball out to their shooters.
Green to inbound in the backcourt to Thomas. Quickly to Lawrence, who can sprint across the timeline. They broke the press. Lawrence, coast to coast, scoops it in. 10-2 Rhode Island, 16 minutes to go first half, but an impressive move from Jamarcus Lawrence in transition. Jameer Tripp has it for Fordham on the far wing. Moves left, handoff up high for Pettis. Pettis will step back from 3 off the front of the rim. No good. Thomas up ahead for Rhode Island. Thomas past Pettis. Underhand lays good.
That gather there. Sebastian Thomas with the pound dribble, getting Pettis to move up in the air a little bit on his first step, and then the second step laying it pretty off the window.
12-2 Rhode Island, 15:35 to go first half. Zona moves right to the far wing for Zona. Josh Rivera has it now on the far side. Rivera will try the jumper. He knocks it down. Josh Rivera with the 3. It's 12-5. Thomas the other way. Out to the far wing. Green gets inside. Tripp watching him. On the far side again, it's House. Straight away the screen from Brown. House moving right. Out to the far side for Green. Inside again for Brown. Spinning on Tripp. That's going to be an offensive foul on Rhode Island. And it's going to be Fordham basketball.
And that's looking like Rams ball. That's what we wanted to see for the Fordham Rams. Playing hard, playing great defense, maintaining excellence and precision on the defensive end.
As we head into our first media timeout of the afternoon with 15:04 to go in the first half, the score, Rhode Island 12, Fordham 5. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Lou Orlando.
I'm Nick Guzman.
And I'm Chaz McAdams.
We're your broadcasters for Fordham men's basketball.
Led by Jackie Johnson, Keith Urgo's Rams are looking to make waves in the 100th anniversary season at the Rose Hill Gym.
We've got you covered for the highs, the lows, the X's and O's as Fordham takes on the gauntlet of the A10.
Don't miss a game. 90.7 FM WFUV is the home of Fordham men's basketball.
Back here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Rhode Island with the 12-5 lead over Fordham with 15:04 to go in the first half. Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. Chaz, slow start for the Rams on both sides of the ball. Just 1 of 6 shooting that Josh Rivera 3. Fordham's first made field goal of the afternoon. You see Matt Zona getting to the free throw line, and it looked a little bit better after that first time out from Keith Urgo.
Absolutely. Coach Keith Urgo, again, looking to get his guys dialed in. They seemed dazed and confused at the beginning of that period. Had to call that early timeout. You hate to burn one, but you definitely needed it.
Fordham, as we mentioned earlier, have lost 7 consecutive games. Mainly been defensive struggles. They're last in the A10 in opponent field goal percentage and scoring defense. Opponent points per game, second to last in fouls per game. Pretty much every measurable category from a defensive perspective, Fordham towards the bottom of the A10. It's just hard to win games consistently like that. And then when you see the offense, like they did against GW last time out, if the offense, which is more middle of the pack in the conference, if they don't show up, this team really has no chance to win.
No, the offensive side has to be there, but again, you have to stop the ball at some point. This system is designed to stop the basketball, but at the end of the day, you have to score some points. I've seen too many games from this Fordham Rams team where we're either seeing one or the other. I need to see a mesh of both. I've seen that from Jameer Tripp so far today. Ryan Pettis subbed out, but done a great job of guarding. I think that step back 3 he took was a little ill-advised. That's why he got yanked, the freshman guard. But the defense from him has been great. He already has 3 deflections to his name, and that goes a lot in the book of attitude, the book of Coach Keith Urgo.
Fordham's 5, Josh Rivera, Jackie Johnson, Jameer Tripp, Matt Zona, and Zach Riley. Johnson with the ball in the backcourt, crosses the timeline against House on this near side. Johnson feeds Jameer Tripp up high. Top of the key, Tripp crossover, down low, looking for cutting Johnson. Got it to him, but blocked away by Fuchs. And last touch on the baseline off Matt Zona. It's going to be Rhode Island basketball, with David Fuchs making his presence felt off the bench.
Yeah, and that hammer screen from Zona, getting it down for Jackie Johnson. Tripp saw the backdoor cut, and Johnson just swatted away by Fuchs. An absolute beast in the dunker spot.
Sebastian Thomas dribbles the ball ahead for Rhode Island, watched closely by Zach Riley. Thomas moving left, all the way to that far corner, still on the perimeter. Johnson on him. Thomas spins baseline, gets inside to kick to House. His near wing three is money. Jaden House has really struggled shooting the three in A10 play, just 18%, but he buried that one.
Yeah, he's a very competent three-point shooter. It just hasn't really gone his way.
15-5 Rhode Island, 14-15 to go first half. Matt Zona up high. Push to this near side wing for Josh Rivera. Rivera will step back for three. Too strong. Thomas the rebound. Up ahead for Brown. Coast to coast. He's fouled from behind. That was Green, rather. David Green in transition. And Josh Rivera fouls him. 2 free throws coming for Green.
Yeah, and Josh there trying to set the tone again. The Rams saw what happens when they get in a hole early, as we saw last time out in GW. Can't have that happen here. You can't end your regular season like this. Got to maintain excellence and efficiency on the offensive end of the basketball and try to get as many stops as you can on defense. The shots are going to fall eventually, but it has to start on the defensive end for the Fordham Rams. Has to.
The officials are going to look at this one maybe for a possible flagrant.
I guess he might have hit him on his head. I don't know. I think that's, you're looking at ghosts at that point. Transition-wise, I didn't see anything that I didn't like from Josh Rivera on that play.
So we're paused here with 14:01 to go in the first half. Rhode
He
Island
has to be
15,
there looking for a flagrant.
Fordham 5.
I think he definitely fouled him.
Maybe possibly you could say he's not making a play on the ball in
Common
that
foul.
situation.
Common
it's
foul.
just going to be a common foul. Yeah. 2 shots coming. Didn't look malicious from
No,
Josh.
Not even close.
So it'll be 2 free throws coming here for Rhode Island. 14:01 to go in the first half. Fordham right now 3-14 in the Atlantic 10. They're going to be playing either that 2 o'clock or that 4:30 game in D.C. on Wednesday. It's just a matter of whether Fordham is going to be the 15 seed or the 14 seed, which they would be if they could win and LaSalle lose, who's 1 game ahead of them.
And if they are that 15 seed, we could see this matchup come Wednesday. The Fordham Rams clashing again versus Rhode Island. They found a way to beat them at home in the Bronx. In a hole right now, but again, I think the key to this Fordham team in this matchup specifically is controlling the glass. You have to tag when a shot goes up.
First free throw is good from David Green. For Rhode Island already in the rebound battle. It's 8-1 in favor of Rhode Island. Green knocks down the second one as well. 17-15 URI. Under 14 minutes to go first half. Johnson into the front court, handoff on the far side for Zach Riley, moving left, gets it to Josh Rivera, top of the key. To the near side wing for Jackie Johnson. Pushed out to the far wing, Riley. Further into the corner for Rivera. Up high, that's Dean. Fakes the 3. He'll drive inside. Straight away again, Johnson. A deep triple is off the front of the rim and out. Dean chases down the rebound, but he dribbled it off his leg and into the sideline. That's going to be Rhode Island basketball.
There's just everything going wrong for the Rams at this point. Romont Dean running for that offensive rebound, dribbles it off his own foot, but the effort is there. There's a clear, better sense in this game versus the GW one that Fordham is not coming out flat. The shots just aren't falling for him.
Fordham just 1 of 9 from the field so far. Thomas has it on the far wing, gets inside to the lane, all the way down towards the baseline, back out to the perimeter for House. He'll drive, near corner, that's Thomas again. His 3 off the rim, Jackie Johnson the rebound. Pushing the pace the other way, Johnson drives left, high off the glass, no good. Timbila the rebound, puts it back up and in. Strong work down low from Abdu.
Abdu's so good about finding his own position, and this
turnover in the backcourt, Jackie Johnson lays it up and in. 4 quick points for the Rams. The other way, House gets inside, high off the glass, over Timbila and in. 19-9 Rhode Island, 12:48 to go first half.
Abdu's positioning there, not where it needed to be. He just let the guy get right by him. And after that great play on the offensive glass, again, I need to see both ends come from the Fordham Rams.
Rivera up high for Fordham, handoff for Medor, moving right. Medor inside, stolen away by Thomas. Sebastian Thomas quickly back the other way for Rhode Island. Up high, House fakes the three, spins in the lane on Rivera, high off the glass, couldn't get it to go. But Jaden House drew the foul and he'll go to the free throw line.
And a great steal there by Thomas, able to track that pass from Jaffe Mador. He knew he wanted the entry, put his hand up and just pawed it out of his hands. Thomas is so good on both ends of the basketball.
12:20 to go in the first half. 19-9 Rhode Island. 2 shots coming for Jaden House in his second year now at Rhode Island. 3 years at High Point. We mentioned earlier the three-point struggles, but still a really shifty guard as House first free throw off the front of the rim.
High Point, a team with rumors to join the Atlantic 10 in the coming years. Their coach did just get an extension there, so I don't know if that works. I'm against that. I think you got to go less teams, more head-to-head matchups, get some more continuity and parity in the league, but it could be some movement. You could be seeing High Point with the A10 across their charity stripe soon.
Second free throw good from House. He goes 1 for 2 from the line. It's 20-9 Rhode Island, and Fordham will inbound in the backcourt. For URI, it's Lawrence leading the way with 6 points. House also with 6. Johnson has it up high. Handoff for Tripp straight away. Screen from Timbila. Tripp drives right. Gets inside. Jump step off the front of the rim. Rebound Rhode Island. Thomas the other way. On the far wing, that's a 3 off the front of the rim from Drisa Traore. Fordham the rebound. Here comes Johnson. Johnson on this near wing will slow things down. Watched closely by Quinton Jabunji. Johnson, the near wing for Tripp. 15 on the shot clock. Tripp drives right to the paint. Feeds it down low for Timbila. He got stripped as he went up for it. Out of bounds on the baseline. With 11:38 to go in the first half, that will take us to our under 12 media timeout. The score, Rhode Island 20, Fordham 9. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one scoreboard with Sophia Smith.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Is in North Carolina, where the Bonnies are losing to the Davidson Wildcats 14-11 with 11:32 left in the first half. And later today in Philadelphia, LaSalle is gearing up for a matchup against St. Joseph's, tip-off set for 2:30. Moving on to the top 25, number 6 St. John's is down 75-73 against number 20 Marquette with 22 seconds remaining in the game. And number 15 Missouri is hosting number 19 Kentucky, the Tigers trailing the Wildcats 78-68 with 2:04 left in the second half. And finally, in the aftermath of an entertaining trade deadline yesterday, the New York Rangers are in Ottawa, currently leading the Senators 2-1 after the second period. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Sophia Smith.
We're back here inside the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island. URI with a 20-9 lead over Fordham with 11:38 to go in the first half. This is Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. Chaz, we know how difficult of a season it's been for Fordham so far, and it's more of the same so far this afternoon in Rhode Island. The shots not falling on the offensive end, just 3 of 13 from the field, and they can't seem to stack together any stops for on the defensive end. URI shooting 8 of 12 and pretty much doing whatever they want at will.
Yeah, it's all mental lapses at this point for the Rams. The shots are there. They've been going. The turnovers have been sloppy. The team seems a little checked out. I think Coach Keith Urgo's trying to lock them down and lock them in.
This has been, we've heard all year from this coaching staff that this Fordham team wants to be the best team that they can be by the end of the season. It's crunch time now, Chaz.
This is the end of the season.
We got the rest of this game, and you've got one more game guaranteed down in D.C. If you want to make it more, you're going to have to figure out some of these issues that have been plaguing Fordham all season long, but it's really been exacerbated in this 7-game stretch.
You're guaranteed 70 more minutes of basketball. For a lot of these guys, it's 70 minutes of basketball. You are guaranteed 70 minutes of basketball for the rest of your collegiate career. If there's any time to turn on the Jets, if there's any time to show a level that you haven't shown yet, it's this game. It's right here, right now in Kingston, Rhode Island.
Fordham struggling early on the offensive end, just 9 points. Josh Rivera, his 3 leads the way for the Rams. It's going to be their basketball underneath with 10 seconds on the shot clock as Jameer Tripp will inbound to Abdu Timbila. Timbila backing down in the paint. Lefty hook off the front of the rim and out. Dean fighting for the board. He saved it, but only into this near sideline. Rhode Island will take over. 11:31 on the game clock in the first half. 20-9 URI. Sebastian Thomas averaging 17.4 points per game for this Rhode Island team. Their star gets it across the timeline. Feed inside for Fuchs. Backdoor cut. Hung up in the air. Shot wouldn't go from Jabunji. Tripp. The rebound for Johnson the other way near side. Johnson drives to the lane. Hangs up in the air. He got fouled. Shot went off the front of the rim. And 2 free throws coming for Jackie Johnson.
So the Rams in that 3-2 press going into the 3-2 trap defensively. The key in that and how that gets diced up for Fordham is a lack of communication from the 2 baseline guys. Again, Abdou Timbila's athleticism saved them on that part, but you look at any other post defender in this league, and that's 2 points for the Rhode Island Rams. You have to communicate in the bottom of the 2-3. That's the only way it's going to be successful. Communicate, communicate, communicate.
First free throw, no good from Jackie Johnson. We saw GW doing the same thing on Wednesday, taking advantage of those backdoor cutters.
Every time it's there, Nick Guzman, every time.
One more shot coming for Jackie Johnson. The 2-3 has proven to be somewhat effective for Fordham at times this season. Just as most things involving this team, it's all about consistency over long stretches as Johnson goes 1 for 2 at the line, make it 20-10 Rhode Island. Thomas with some backcourt pressure from the Rams. They get it across the timeline through Cam Estevez. Thomas on the near wing. Still the 3-2 zone from Fordham. Thomas all the way out to the far wing. Jabunji up high, Fuchs. Estevez for Thomas on the near wing. Thomas feeds Fuchs down low, posting up Timbila. Fuchs the spin, gets inside, took a bump and finished anyway. Strong move from David Fuchs.
And that is not something you usually see. Abdou isolation on the block. It's usually going to come up Rams ball, the Bronx Rams rather, but Fuchs just getting whatever he wants off that post spin. Beautiful basketball.
Mador on the far wing gets a screen from Timbila, straight away for Johnson. He'll cross over up high. Johnson fakes the step back, feed down low for Timbila, stolen away by Fuchs. Here's Thomas for Rhode Island, accelerates to the lane, runs right at Tripp. That's going to be a jump ball. So they got tied up just underneath the basket, did Thomas and Tripp.
Tripp, way to get a hand in there and keep it on the ball. No foul. That's going to be Fordham possession. Again, Jackie Johnson dribbling too much. That drag step, if he's going to shoot it, he's got to shoot it. The Rams shooting 14% from beyond the arc.
22-10 Rhode Island, 10:15 to go first half as Dean will inbound to Jaffe Mador. His offense was slumping last time out against GW and can't afford to have that be the case again this afternoon. Tripp up high, top of the key, crossover, gets inside, took a bump as he went up with the shot. It's no good. Jameer Tripp, though, will shoot free throws.
Again, lid on the rim. That's a shot that you have to finish. If you're Jameer Tripp, again, you did a good job getting to the charity stripe, but you got to be able to finish those light ones off the window. Tripp's a strong kid. He can take that bump. Just have a little more finesse off the glass.
No field goals for the Rams in the last 2:53. 2 shots coming for Jameer Tripp. It's been a rocky road in A-10 play for Jameer. First free throw is good. There were a couple games where, think about that Richmond game, those Duquesne games, wasn't great on the road, but then he came home and looked so sharp really against St. Joe's, 4 of 12, shooting 13 points, and regressed again against GW in just 15 minutes.
Joe's was great. On the road versus LaSalle's, his best game of the year. He had multiple threes in that timeout in Philadelphia. Tripp, skill-wise, is the best player on this team. I've said it all year. Again, it's about the work and the toughness and how he has to recover from it.
Both free throws good for Tripp. It's 22-12 Rhode Island. Thomas up high with Fordham in their 3-2 zone. Estevez will fire the deep 3 in and out. Fuchs fighting for the rebound. Zona saved it on the baseline. Tripp up ahead for the Rams. Down low for Dean, able to gather underneath. Dean backing down. He's double-teamed to the near corner. Zona up high again for Johnson. His 3 is wide right. Dean again fighting for the board. Rhode Island able to come away with it. Estevez up high for Green. Estevez to the far side. Thomas down low to the near corner. That's going to be a 3 from House, and it's good. Jaden House knocks it down. Keith Ergo furious in front of us. It's 25-12 Rhode Island, 9:09 to go first half. Medor for Tripp up high. House watching him. Handoff for Johnson. Drives to the lane. Trying to go up with the left hand. He got stripped. Out of bounds on the baseline. And Fordham will keep it with 15 on the shot clock.
Jackie Johnson's left arm just grabbed into oblivion by his defender. You got to call that there. Jackie's at the free throw line right now.
No call despite the contact. Johnson's three from the corner. He knocked it down. A tough shot from Jackie Johnson right off the inbounds. Fordham back within 10. It's 25-15 URI.
Jackie Johnson, Mr. Ball don't lie with that fadeaway in the left corner from his left hand. Great play.
Inside for Fuchs. Out to the far wing. Green, that's a three. Rattles in and out. Jackie Johnson the board. And he can push the pace the other way for the Rams. Johnson now will slow things down up high. Handoff for Medor. Screen from Zona. Medor moving left. Drives inside with the left hand blocked away by Green as the ball flies into the sideline. Last touch off of Fordham. But David Green flew from out of nowhere to get that block.
That was a freak athletic play by Green. He is so good. His second jump is great. Medor got him in the air with the up fake, and then Green able to get back on the ground and elevate for that pin off the window.
So Fordham will inbound in the corner in the front court. 14 on the shot clock. Tripp gets it into Zona on this near wing. He'll hand off up high for Johnson. Johnson drives left, gets inside and gets the roll with the left hand. Another strong move for Jackie. Fordham down by 8. Jamarcus Lawrence the other way for House on the near wing. Spins inside to the corner. That's going to be a three, and that's perfect. Cam Estevez drills the three. 28-17 Rhode Island. 7:50 to go first half. Medor gets to the lane. The righty shot off the front of the rim. Rebound Fuchs. Lawrence the other way. Far side, that's House. Drives past Zona. House tried to throw it down. He missed the dunk. Would have been a highlight reel play, but he couldn't get it to go. Johnson the other way for Fordham. Flips down low for Tripp low block. He's fouled on the entry pass with 7:31 to go in the first half. 28-17 Rhode Island. And that will send us into another media timeout. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hi, this is Ben Oppenheimer reminding you to tune in to New York's longest running sports call-in show, One on One. Catch One on One live on the WFUV Sports YouTube channel every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then later on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We'll catch you next Saturday on One on One.
Welcome back to the Ryan Center here in Kingston. The score, University of Rhode Island 28, Fordham 17 with 7:30 to go in the first half. Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams on the call for you. Chaz, this is a Rhode Island team that first in the A-10 in fast break points, and I think we've seen that, how quickly they want to get out in transition. There's been a frantic pace at times in this game.
The way they push the pace is ridiculous. They love to get downhill. You guys got guys like Green that can shoot it in the transition. Fuchs for a lob threat. And then, of course, their floor general, their PG1, Sebastian Thomas, loves to put his head down and get downhill, rip through defenses with his fancy gather steps and lace them off the window. He is the motor. He's the Energizer Bunny with the blue battery pack in his back. Sebastian Thomas for the Rhode Island Rams has been so good in transition this year.
It's been Jaden House in this game who's been the star. 9 points so far on 3 of 4, shooting a perfect 2 of 2 from beyond the arc. We mentioned he was shooting only 18% from deep in the Atlantic 10. It's a shot that's a part of his arsenal, just wasn't falling earlier this year. Fordham find themselves here down by 11, Chaz, still shooting just 26% from the field. Things have steadied up a little bit on both ends of the floor, but still down by 11, not where you want to be if you're Keith Urgo's team.
Yeah, not where you want to be at all. We've seen a lot of rotations so far this game, too. Transition defense has to be better. The help has to be there. It seems like a game where the Rams could figure it out, but it is not the start that they hoped, wanted, or needed.
We'll see what they discuss coming out of this media timeout. 28-17 Rhode Island. 80-79 was the final score at the Rose Hill Gym in early February when these two teams met. A Matt Zona tip-in at the buzzer gave Fordham the win. And it's hard to believe, Chaz, that was Fordham's last win this season. 7 losses since then.
Unfortunate. Records don't always show the want in these teams, though. Fordham playing with a lot more than Rhode Island. Rhode Island also on a skid. It seems that both these teams, again, as you said at the beginning of the broadcast, are not in the position they need or want to be.
Dean, the inbound to Johnson. Tough shot off the glass in the lane. He got it to go. Great shot-making ability from Jackie Johnson. URI the other way. Fuchs up high for Estevez straight away. Still in that 3-2 zone are the Rams out to the far wing for House. Straight away Estevez. To the near corner, that's Green. He's open. Shot rattles in and out. Rebound Rivera. Medor, cross-court pass to Dean on this near side wing for Josh Rivera. Pass right to Johnson up high. Johnson to the free throw line, tried to draw some contact, didn't get it. His shot hit the front of the rim. It's out of bounds on the baseline, Rhode Island basketball.
So how the Rams are beating this 3-2, how Rhode Island is beating this 3-2 from Fordham right now is if you run a shooter in the corner of the same side that you have a center running a seal on, it's a 2v1 matchup defensively. You get one of those guys on an island for an easy bucket.
Lawrence has it in the middle for Rhode Island. Estevez on this near side wing. To the far side, into the corner for House. House drives baseline. Dean on him. House flips it up off the heel and out. Rebound tipped by Fuchs, only as far as Rivera. Medor the other way. Spins, gets inside, blocked away. A lot of contact. No call. It's out of bounds on the baseline. Fordham will keep it. With 6:25 to go in the first half, it'll be Fordham basketball down low. But no foul called on that one.
I mean, Faye Medor just getting hounded midair. That's another missed one after the one from Jackie. No call.
Rivera for Zona. Up high, Johnson. He'll try the far wing 3, in and out. Rebound, Rhode Island. Green up ahead, gets it back. Green feeds down low for Fuchs. Deflected away by Zona. Johnson for Medor on the near wing. His 3, that's good from Jaffe Medor. 28-22. 6:07 to go in the first half. There's going to be a foul called.
Before the shot?
Before the shot.
Oh.
But it's going to be a foul on Rhode Island, so free throws for Medor.
2. 3 or 2 shots? Or 1? I'm confused
I'm
about
a little
the play
confused
call
as well, Chaz. We'll see. It's 28-22 right now, so the shot was good. It's a foul off ball, I believe, on David Green. Medor's free throw, no good. So it remains 28-22 Rhode Island. Thomas in the front court for Rhode Island.
Well, they counted it.
They counted it, got it. Thomas for Fuchs at the free throw line. Zona on him. Lawrence kicks out to the far wing. The drive from Green, spinning in the lane. Zona and Medor there. It's out of bounds on the baseline. Who's it off of last? It's going to be off Fordham. Rhode Island will keep it.
But that's the defense you need. That's the defense you want. A lot of great help there. Riley and Zona both sinking in to help on the driving Green. A guy not known for his ability to kick out to his shooters. Great way to know the scout, know the player you're guarding.
Fordham finally able to string together some stops here on the defensive end. Over 2 minutes scoreless for Rhode Island. Thomas up high. Swung to this near side wing for House. To the corner for Green. In front of the Fordham bench. Push straight away for House. Has to shoot. The deep 3 off front rim with the shot clock winding down. Rebound Riley. Johnson has it on the near wing. Johnson crossover, gets the baseline, needs an option. He lost the handle. It's out of bounds on the baseline. Rhode Island basketball.
You use the whole 30-second shot clock down there and make them waste it. But the play down there, Johnson's got to be able to have more on-court awareness. You got to ride the momentum when you can.
David Green will inbound in the backcourt for Rhode Island. There's 5:26 to go in the first half. Fordham have closed this gap to 6. 28-22 in favor of URI. Finally, the Rams able to get some stops on the defensive end. Lawrence for Thomas, back to Lawrence on this near side. Out again for Thomas. To the far corner for Green. Cross-court pass up high for Lawrence, down low for Fuchs. One-on-one against Timbila. Got him in the air and finished with through the contact, no call. David Fuchs got him up in the air. And Jaffe Medor has it the other way for Fordham, now down by 8, 5 minutes to go. first half. Riley, handoff up high for Medor. High screen from Timbila. Medor down low for Abdu, and he stepped on the baseline. Out of bounds. Jameer Tripp coming into the game. Abdu Timbila will take a seat on the bench. Rams bench frustrated with that one.
The on-court awareness there just has to be better from Timbila. Great feed by Medor to find the double on the pick and roll on himself, and then Timbila just aloof under the basket.
Lawrence splits through Rivera and Tripp. Straight away here, this is Sebastian Thomas. Thomas out to the far wing for House. Bounce pass to the middle for Fuchs. Quickly out to the far side for Lawrence. Lawrence from the elbow, his shot in and out. Rebound by Green, back up with it, wouldn't go. Slammed in by House, over the cylinder is going to be the call. No basket as Jaden House flew in for the putback, but the ball, Chaz, still over the cylinder.
Yeah, that's a blessing for the Rams too. That would have been another double-digit lead for Rhode Island. You got to box out there. You can't let that offensive rebound even happen.
Rhode Island, the way they got back into the game against Fordham way back in early February was crashing the offensive glass. Fordham have to be aware of that this afternoon. Josh Rivera, handoff on the near wing for Riley. Straight away for Tripp. Tripp will drive on Fuchs. Got all the way in and gets the reverse lay to go. Beautiful, beautiful move from Jameer Tripp. 6-point game, 4:13 to go first half. Thomas for Fuchs. The near wing for Lawrence. Double teamed by Pettis and Tripp, and he's fouled. Jamarcus Lawrence as he tried to split through the double team.
Tripp playing beautiful basketball too. That pound dribble gather on his right hand, getting Green in the air, bringing the ball back down, and he's got a clear path, second step, inside hand, lefty finish. Jameer Tripp, poetry in motion.
Ramad Dean checking in for Fordham. Josh Rivera will come out, 4:07 to go first half. It's 30-24 Rhode Island. Rhode Island just one of their last 7 from the field. Fuchs for Green, up high, this is House straight away. Push left for Thomas. Thomas, the crossover on Riley, spins in the paint. Thomas got it to go, and the foul. It goes against Zach Riley, and Sebastian Thomas will head to the free throw line when we come back with a chance for one more.
What are they seeing there? Zach Riley put his hand up, and he didn't even get he didn't get anywhere close. I get criticized for refs, my treatment of the refs. That is a call that I would not have made. That's what I'll say right there. A call I would not have made.
So at the under 4 media timeout with 3:58 to go in the first half, the score Rhode Island 32, Fordham 24. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one scoreboard with Sophia Smith.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
A few months ago, the Rangers and Hurricanes got the ball rolling by acquiring JT Miller and Mikko Rantanen respectively, and many assumed these moves would be the biggest splashes of this NHL season. However, these trades were only the beginning of what would be a whirlwind NHL trade deadline. So let's recap, shall we? Starting off strong, the previously mentioned Mikko Rantanen could not agree to a contract in Carolina, where he was traded only a mere 43 days ago. So he was flipped again to the Dallas Stars, where he signed an 8-year, $12 million deal. Brock Nelson was sent to the Colorado Avalanche, leaving behind the only team he has ever played for. And to highlight a few of the craziest moves, Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand were traded from the Kraken to the Lightning. Riley Smith is making his return in Vegas. Jake Wallman went to the Sharks, from the Sharks to the Oilers. Josh Norris was traded to Buffalo in exchange for Dylan Cousins, and Brandon Tanev is now a member of the Winnipeg Jets. The most shocking move of the day came just after the official deadline of 3 p.m. when it was announced that Bruins captain and star winger Brad Marchand was traded to one of Boston's biggest division rivals, the one and only Florida Panthers. For the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Sophia Smith. A little bumpy. Yeah.
We're back here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Nick Guzman alongside Chaz McAdams. Rhode Island 32, Fordham 24 with 3:58 to go in the first half. Chaz, that last sequence, Sebastian Thomas gets the shot to go. Zach Riley calls for the foul and one opportunity.
So Thomas on the perimeter on the up fake. He goes up. Zach Riley doesn't jump. Starts going left with his hand. Crosses over as he's going to go to the middle of the lane. Crosses back, trying to size up, still moving downhill. He drag dribbles, fakes his step, is able to cross back between his legs, spins off pound dribble. Riley with his offhand is away, but his right hand up. Thomas puts up a shot, knocks his head back to avoid the defense, not due to any contact, just avoid the defense. The ref falls for the bait. Riley called for the foul. It's a wide open layup, so it went in for Thomas. Now he's going to the stripe to get an extra one, and this could be a 9-point game.
Sebastian Thomas, Chaz, one of the best in the conference at drawing contact. He's second in the A-10 in free throw attempts, although he only shoots a shade under 70%.
Yeah, shade under 70. Thomas, again, this Rhode Island team, you can beat them at the charity stripe. Thomas, a guy known for getting downhill. Riley, able to move his feet, one of the best perimeter defenders on this Rams team. And that is just a phantom foul that I haven't seen in a very long time.
So there's 3:58 to go in the first half. Sebastian Thomas is at the free throw line for one more. He really filled up the stat sheet when these teams first met in early February. 20 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, 4 steals, did a little bit of everything in that losing effort at the Rose Hill Jam. But Thomas here completes the three-point play to put Rhode Island back up by 9, 33-24, 3:55 to go first half. Jaffe Medor out to the far wing for Ahmad Dean, pass right straight away for Josh Rivera. Out to the far side wing for Jackie Johnson. Johnson crossover, moving left, dips it down low for Tripp in the paint. Tripp, the reverse, couldn't get it to go. Rebound by Fuchs. Sebastian Thomas has it for Rhode Island up high. Thomas takes the screen, gets inside to the corner. That's a three from Lawrence, and that's perfect. Jamarcus Lawrence buries the triple. And all of a sudden, Rhode Island back up by 12, 36-24. Dean to Tripp on the near wing. Pass right to Rivera. Rivera out to the far side for Johnson. Crossover. Johnson drives. Contact. He's fouled going up for the shot. And 2 shots coming for Jackie Johnson.
2 for Johnson.
Okay, so what are we discussing?
So physical. That crossback, he's split screens. He's having a great game in terms of his quick first step. He's just got to have the vision to be able to see that, see the defense collapse, and kick out to his shooters, or play off 2, get one of them in the air, and get to the charity stripe.
Second trip to the line for Jackie. Still second in the Atlantic 10 in points per game behind only Reed Bailey. The number that stuck out to you after that GW game was the 7 turnovers, a season high, and just too many, to be frank.
I mean, Jackie Johnson's a big, like, boom or bust player, if you know what I mean. Like, he'll give you those 20. It's a perfect microcosm of his season, if we're being honest. An inefficient 20 points that you needed with over 3 turnovers.
He goes 2 for 2 at the line here. It's 36-26 Rhode Island, 3:05 to go first half. Thomas at the Rhode Island logo backing down Johnson. Thomas will now drive right, gets to the lane, stripped away by Johnson. That was clean. Jackie back the other way. With numbers for the Rams, Johnson for Rivera, hop step in the lane, lefty shot wouldn't go from point blank range. Jameer Tripp cleans up though and gets the finish.
Jameer Tripp, he's got some great looks under the rim so far today. Not a lot of them falling. He's got to have a little more wrist action, put some more English when he's putting his layups off the window. Great follow-up though from the kid from Brooklyn.
Rhode Island by 8, 2:30 to go first half. Estevez up high. This near wing for Green feeds the post for David Fuchs. Fuchs against Tripp. The runner high off the glass wouldn't go.
Oh my gosh.
A wild shot there. Rebound Dean. Johnson the other way. Trying to feed the post for Rivera. That's going to be a kickball on Estevez. And Fordham will inbound side out.
Fordham looking to cut through. Still a 12-point lead for the Rhode Island Rams. The team from the Bronx has to keep it close, get some momentum going into halftime.
8-point lead, Chaz.
8 point. Oh, my math was very off.
Jaffe Medor on this near side wing for Jameer Tripp. Fuchs on him. Tripp thought about the 3. He'll take it. Jameer Tripp knocks it down. Huge shot from Jameer. Fordham, I just say his foot was on the line, just a 2-pointer. It's 36-30 Rhode Island. Under 2 to go first half. Thomas at the logo. Fuchs the screen up high. Thomas dribbling right against Johnson. Gets to the lane. Thomas, a lot of contact. His shot wouldn't go. Fuchs missed the tip. Back up with it. David Fuchs gets the finish. 38-30 URI. 1:35 to go first half. Rivera immediately backing down on the far side. Gets inside and gets the roll with the right hand.
He's so strong. That inside hand finish was beautiful from Josh Rivera out of New Jersey.
A decisive move from Josh Rivera down low. Fordham back within 6. It's 38-32. 1:15 to go first half. Thomas up high. Moving right. Dean and Johnson on him. Thomas up high for Green. Out to the far wing. That's going to be a triple. And they bury it again. Cam Estevez knocks it down. 41-32 Rhode Island. They're 5 of 12 from beyond the arc early. Rivera on the far wing. Backing down on Estevez. Straightaway trip. Tripp again will try the three. Off front rim and out. Thomas flies in for the board. Estevez in transition. His triple wouldn't go. Medor the rebound. 40 seconds to go in the half. Keith Ergo imploring his players to settle down. It's 41-32 Rhode Island. Medor with it up high. 33 on the game clock, 20 on the shot clock. Medor still at the URI logo. Fordham in no hurry here. 10 on the shot clock, 22 on the game clock. Medor with 6 to shoot against Thomas. Medor crossover, will step back for 3. Jaffe Medor couldn't get it to go. Rivera the rebound. 11 on the game clock, and Josh Rivera traveled as he came down with the rebound.
Saw a little bit more contact from Estevez and Fuchs on that great offensive rebound by Josh Rivera. The missed step back 3 from Jaffe Medor. Josh coming in, grabbing the board, and just trying to pound dribble in. And I don't understand how you can't at least look at that, because their logic is he just slipped on nothing and fell over. Like, there had to have been contact there at some level.
I think that is the logic. Josh Rivera, either way, is called for the travel, and it's going to be a timeout for Rhode Island. 30-second timeout with just 11 seconds, 10.4 to be specific, left on the clock in this first half. It's 41-32 Rhode Island, so we'll see what Archie Miller draws up for this final play. Feel like it's got to be probably to Sebastian Thomas.
Sebastian Thomas, or I like the looks I've been seeing from Estevez in the corner. I think we could see a nice little drive and kick again. That is the risk you run. Coach Keith Ergo trying to get a good last possession, but they gave Rhode Island 10 seconds left on the shot clock. That's a lot of time to develop a play. You can have a reverse screen, a double, a horns action, all within that 10 seconds.
Whatever Archie Miller wants to draw up, the world's his oyster with 11 seconds on the game clock. It'll be URI to inbound in the backcourt. Fordham trying to avoid being down by double digits. The half that they've trailed the whole way, have not led for a single second in this game, have the Fordham Rams. They're trying to keep it
single digits here.
Single digits. It's a 9-point game right now, 41-32 Rhode Island.
Let's keep it competitive.
Which it was not on Wednesday against GW. No. But for Fordham, despite being 3-14, so many of their games this year in the A-10 have been extremely competitive, down to the wire type contests. Dean with some backcourt pressure. They get it into Sebastian Thomas. 9 to go on the game clock. Now 5 to shoot. Thomas across the timeline with 4. Thomas moving right with 2. Thomas up high for House. Did he get it off? Doesn't matter. It's an air ball anyway. At the half, Chaz. Rhode Island 41, Fordham 32. And considering how that half started, being down by 9, not the end of the world, but still going to have to clean a lot of things up in that second half.
And with a great final defensive possession, too, for the Rams. They guarded that play perfectly. They forced Thomas to make an errant pass. It did. It didn't get to Green in time. He shot an air ball. That's a good last possession for the Rams from the Bronx.
At the half, Rhode Island 41, Fordham 32. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one halftime report with Daniel Malia.
The one-on-one halftime report.
And here we are in the Rose Hill studios. Daniel Melia joined alongside Sophia Smith. Rhode Island leading the Rams 41-32 at the break in this regular season finale. It's been, unfortunately, Sophia, a lot of the same stuff we've seen from Fordham down the stretch of this season, particularly with regards to their struggles shooting the basketball.
Yeah, I would just like to see more from everybody. They're 11-32 from the field goal, so I would just like to see more offensively.
And this has been, as I said, something that Fordham has struggled with all season. You know, you are shooting 42.4% as a team for the year from the field. And all right, if that's going to happen, then you need to compensate by playing more effective defense. But look at this. Rose Hill, our boys are down at this point 9 at the half. They gave up 41 points in the first half. So often Fordham's identity has been predicated on tough, hard-nosed defense. It just doesn't look like we're seeing that today.
No, and they're fortunate that it's only 41-32 because it could definitely be worse.
Especially considering, as well as Rhode Island has played in this first half, 48.5% from the field for them, and 5 of 14 from downtown. Fordham has struggled against teams, especially we saw a couple of games back. They just were not able to keep pace with multiple A10 teams that really know how to light it up from downtown. But at the same time, this is something that we heard, I think it was Nick mention. They're 3-14 in A10 play, but most of these games, with the past two being exceptions, have been close. They gave a George Mason team, I was on the call for that one, they gave a George Mason team in Northern Virginia a good run for its money. They were somewhat competitive with Davidson. That was the game I was thinking of where they got shellacked from downtown. Within 11 points of Duquesne, they went to Richmond. They only lost to them by 4. During this 7-game losing streak, these have been closer games, generally speaking. I don't know if they trailed any of them by much more than 9 at the half. What do you think, Sophia, Fordham needs to do to make this a close game, if not be able to pull off the surprise?
I think that they just need more from everyone. They need their stars to show up, and they need more points off the bench. They just need overall participation from everyone, and I think that defensively, they got to lock it down. They can't be giving up too much because it's going to get away from them, and they're not going to be able to get back in the game.
Absolutely, because as I said, if you don't compensate for kind of lackluster offense with good defense, you're not putting together a winning formula, and obviously that's been an issue for Fordham today. Jackie Johnson, to your point about the Stars, leading with 12 points, grad transfer, has had a very good season in terms of scoring, just hasn't translated into wins for Fordham. Off the bench, Jameer Tripp has 8, as well as Josh Rivera with 5, but nobody else on Fordham with more than 3 points, and that is only Jaffe Medor, who has had a number of very good games in a row, but maybe as the season wearing down here, kind of running out of gas. But with the season running down, I do think we have to talk some about, and really should spend the majority of this show looking ahead to the A10 tournament, because it's starting in just a couple of days. March 12th is when things will be tipping off, and Fordham will be playing in one of the first 2 games, depending on the result of LaSalle's matchup later today with, I believe it is, yes, St. Joseph's. They're actually playing right now, and I'll do a little scoreboard update here. It's 24-22. The Explorers are leading St. Joseph Hawks, one that St. Joseph needs to win, so hopefully if you're rooting for the Philadelphia Jesuits, they're going to be able to turn that one around. But depending on the result of that game, Fordham will either be the 14th or 15th seed in the A10. That means they will either match up with UMass or potentially this Rhode Island team again. Now, they actually beat this Rhode Island team. We heard Nick and Chaz mention that a couple times. Back here in Rose Hill, I believe it was early February, they had that tip-in from Matt Zona, and that was really the last time we saw them play a complete game. It was one that they deserved to win, that I was happy to see them win. But at the end of the day, it's one win that they've gotten in really the last month. Do you see them having any realistic chance of getting out of this opening round of the A10 tournament, or are we watching the last, as Chaz alluded to, 60 minutes of Fordham basketball?
Honestly, I think it's kind of over, but if they did manage to pull out a win in this game, it would definitely help their chances in the first round, I think, because if they can get that momentum, it's going to help them in the future.
So you think that this could kind of be a stepping stone towards better things for them?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah, that's about all that you can hope. It's just been a very tough season for Fordham, really, since the onset. I remember at the beginning, we saw that exciting win over Seton Hall on the road. Jackie Johnson had that tremendous buzzer beater called by our own Chris Carino. And it seemed like there was so much hope for the season. I was hoping that we'd have a redux of, I know the 2 people in the studio here were not here for this one, but 2 years ago when Fordham had a very fun run in the A10, they ended up finishing 4th during the regular season, got to the semifinal. It just seems like the Rose Thrill magic has been kind of lost, but it has to start somewhere. And so often teams in these mid-major tournaments that are on the lower pegs can surprise teams that are maybe in the middle a bit, like a Rhode Island or like a UMass, because there are, 2 factors really. There are matchup differences, and I think that Fordham does match up fairly favorably against this Rhode Island team compared to some of the other teams in the A10. And there's also the nothing to lose effect because Fordham knows, or at least I'm sure they will know, going into this next game, win or lose today, it's the A10 tournament or bust. And so maybe that can give them some extra motivation and chutzpah heading into this one. So let's look at the A10 in general, of course, because that is its own phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
My big question is this a two-bid league? I would love it to be. But I'm not sure that I can really see the tournament committee picking a VCU, a George Mason, or a Dayton to go to the tournament if they don't win the tournament. I think the most likely team would be VCU. They sit at about 70% in ESPN's Bubble Watch in terms of percentage to make the tournament. But most of that has to do with the fact that they are favored to win the A10 tournament. If they don't win, it drops down to the mid-30s. What do you think, Sophia? Do you think this is a two-bid worthy league?
Yeah, I could see VCU going in and like you said, if they win, I think that's obviously going to help their chances.
That's the best one. Wait again, of course, but do you think they are? Do you think, having seen some Fordham basketball really Fordham opponents basketball this season, that there's enough quality in the A10 to argue that one of these teams deserves an at-large bid even if they don't win the conference tournament?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be really exciting. So.
Yeah, and the A10 has sent multiple teams in the past. I keep thinking about how different the landscape of college basketball and even the NBA might be if the 2020 tournament had not been canceled on account of COVID and Obi Toppin, the Dayton alum and former New York Knick, had not gone to the NBA right away. Maybe he had led a Dayton team that was in the conversation for the number one seed overall, never mind just a number one seed, to a deep tournament run. How big that would have been for Atlantic 10 basketball in general. But very exciting this tournament week, especially with the A10. Their tournament, one of the last to be played, starts on March 12th, ends on Selection Sunday, March 16th. So one of the last real chips to fall in the kind of bigger picture. I am hopeful that Fordham, if they can build some momentum in the second half, like you said, might be able to surprise one or two teams. Really, that would be, I think, the most successful way you can end this season. And especially when you have a guy who is as talented as Jackie Johnson, it would just be such a shame to see him not play under some bright lights kind of to end his college career. So hopefully the Fordham Rams are able to turn it around in the second half. Meanwhile, for Rhode Island, this is a team that has been kind of up and down in conference play. They had a very strong start to non-conference play. Looked really good. Came out and won 9 games to start their season. Then they lost double overtime to Brown. Tough one. Came back, won a couple more games. Once conference play started, they actually beat George Mason. Pretty surprising.
Interesting.
But since then, they've lost 4 in a row in conference play prior to this game. St. Joseph's on the road, UMass on the road, Dayton on the road, St. Louis on the road. Oh, Dayton at home, but St. Louis on the road. Do you think that this Rhode Island team has the chops, based on what you've seen in the first half, to make some noise in the A10 tournament, or do you think that they're not going anywhere?
I think that it doesn't look promising. I think that there's just better teams that are going to make more noise, and that I don't think Rhode Island's going to go very far.
So you're not inspired by this pretty impressive, pretty impressive against a not-so-impressive Fordham team first half performance?
No, just because Fordham hasn't been good all season, so I don't consider this anything sensational.
They do have some things going for them, the Rhode Island Rams, that is. Couple of things I want to note about them. 35.1% from downtown is pretty effective, and David Green in particular, a 44.4% shooter from three-point range. Pretty impressive. 2 guys around that 15-point range per game, David Green and Sebastian Thomas. So far in this one, Thomas has 5, Green has 4. The leading scorer is actually Jaden House. He's their 3rd leading scorer with 11. So it does help that they have some guys who can share the load offensively. I think that was kind of what Fordham was trying to do, but it ends up being that Jackie Johnson's at 18.6 points per game and 13.1 for Jaffe Mendora's the next closest guy. Last thoughts before the half, end of the half here, Sophia, on Fordham. Do you think that they have what it takes to pull this off? We talked about what they need to do. They need to play better defense. They need to control the turnovers. They just need to shoot the basketball better. Do you think they have it in them, or are we staring down the barrel of an 8th straight loss here?
I hope that they have that they have it in them. I think that they could do it. They could definitely do it. But the question is everyone going to put in the effort? Are the starters going to play like starters? And are they going to treat this like it's their last game, so they should come out and be want to win, or is it just their last game, so they're not really going to try too hard?
Well, there is plenty of talent and plenty of experience. We'll hope that the seniors are able to come through Jackie Johnson and co. in this second half and win the Battle of the Rams in Rhode Island. This has been your one-on-one halftime. I'm Daniel Mealy. I was joined by Sophia Smith. We will send it back out to Kingston with Chaz McAdams and Nick Guzman.
I'm Will Talent, one of WFUV's New York Yankees beat reporters, eyeing a trip back to the Fall Classic behind the feared 1-2 punch of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. WFUV Sports has you covered on all things Yankees. Follow me on X at talent_Will to catch live updates, analysis, and so much more from Yankee Stadium. WFUV, your home for New York sports.
Welcome back to the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island. Great job, Daniel and Sophia, on the halftime show. This is Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. The score at the break, Rhode Island 41, Fordham 32. We got about a minute and a half before the start of the second half. Chaz, there was a moment in that first half where Fordham were able to get that deficit within 6, but then a couple threes in transition for Rhode Island opened it back up a 9-point lead. Fordham, Chaz, 2-14 when trailing at the half this season, down by 9 in hostile territory in Rhode Island. What do the Rams have to do if they want to close this deficit and end the A-10 regular season on the right note?
The Bronx Rams have to stop the transition baskets. Really the only way that Rhode Island's been able to score in the second half of this first half. I want to see more tagging guys when the shot goes up. I need to see more transition defense, hands up as you're running. There needs to be more of an emphasis on stop them in transition. We know how to stop them in the half court already. That 3-2's been magical. Stay in it, sit in it as long as it works. Over-communicate, over-talk. And then just on the offensive end, you got to find your cutters. There's been a lot of times where Johnson, Mador, Riley have been going backdoor with nothing to show for it because Rivera, Dean, Tripp up top haven't been able to find them.
The other interesting thing of note, Chaz, if this result stays the way it is and Rhode Island beats Fordham this afternoon, it would be a rematch between these two teams on Wednesday in the first round of the Atlantic 10 tournament. UMass fell earlier today to Loyola Chicago. They were Rhode Island's competition for that 10th spot. It would be Rhode Island 10th, Fordham 15th. That's if Fordham does not come back in this game.
It's a very winnable game, I do think, for the Rams. I know it's hard to say that after Wednesday's outing versus GW, where you weren't in it for a single portion of the entire game. I would say that was 40 minutes of GW-controlled basketball. This matchup, however, looks a little different. I like what I'm seeing from the Rams so far. The deficit they got themselves in is still remnant right now with this score. But right now, I would say Rhode Island and Fordham are playing pretty even basketball.
And Fordham, Chaz, have been able to close deficits on the road this season. I think about St. Bonaventure away, Davidson away. It was just about getting the job done down the stretch, but Fordham were able to close those sizable gaps in the second half to make it a competitive game down the stretch. For the Rams, their leading scorer, Jackie Johnson, no surprise there with 12 points on 4 of 10 from the field. For Rhode Island, it's been balanced. Lawrence has 9, House has 9, Estevez with 6, and Fuchs with 6. Sebastian Thomas, the star, only with 5. It's been balanced for Rhodey, and they're up by 9 as a result. Sebastian Thomas with the ball up top as we start the second half. Jamarcus Lawrence up high for Green, gets tied up with Jaffe Mador, and that'll be a foul at the top of the key. And an early one on Jaffe Mador in the second half.
I feel like he caught it over Jaffe Mador's arm. Jaffe kind of was hands up for a second, a little bit, didn't know what to do, because you don't want to take your hand out of the cookie jar, but you also don't want to get called for that foul.
Rhode Island inbound, side out. Thomas on the far side, has it up high, moving left. The screen from Brown. Thomas on the near side wing, looking for House, off his hands and out of bounds on the sideline. That's a turnover, Fordham basketball.
That's that transition. That's that defense that I was talking about. They haven't figured out in the half court. It's just about keeping them out of the transition buckets.
Dean, Medore, Johnson, Timbila, Riley are the 5 for Fordham. Medore into the front court. The Rams now moving from left to right in this second half, still in the maroon. Medore, screen from Timbila. The top of the key, swung out to the far side wing for Ahmad Dean. Pass right straight away for Zach Riley. Medore now on the near side. Crossover. Drives to the free throw line. Straight away for Johnson. His 3 in and out. And rebound secured by Rhode Island. Green ahead for Thomas. 50 seconds gone by in the second half. Still 41-32 Rhode Island. Sebastian Thomas, far side wing. Now on the near side, it's Green. Handoff for House with Medore on him. House, pass right to Thomas on the far wing. Thomas steps back over Timbila off the heel. Medore the rebound. Medore pushing the pace for Riley. He'll try the 3 in transition. That's an air ball. He missed it long. Out of bounds on the baseline.
Don't hate that shot from Riley. Doesn't take enough of him. Should be a more confident shooter, as well as Matt Zona. Want to see more shots from Riley, especially when he gets the looks in the transition to the offense.
Zach had those 3-point numbers in 30% for most of the season, now down to 25. The offense has kind of gone away the last couple games. Straight away, this is Thomas for Rhode Island. A screen from Brown. Thomas against Timbila. Thomas drives into the lane on Abdu, trying to feed Brown down low. Dean had a hold of him, and Ramad Dean will get called for the foul.
Yeah, Brown just trying to get position there, spinning out, trying to box out with the elbows. Dean getting some physicality from himself in kind and call for the foul there.
Still no baskets for either side. A minute 32 into this second half. It's still 41-32 Rhode Island.
And if this turns into one of those mud fights, one of those down and dirty gutter basketball games, I think the Fordham Rams will be in a good spot.
We haven't seen enough of those involving this Fordham team this season. This is Green up high for House on the far wing. House drives right on Johnson, took a bump, foul on the floor. And it will be Rhode Island basketball, though, inbound.
They get a lot of fouls on that first plant when they're going up for the layup. They knock their head back. Clearly, Archie Miller has emphasized, if the refs are going to allow you to do that, keep going.
Thomas in the far corner, Medore on him, able to get it up high for Green. Green against Riley. Green driving left, moves it left for House, gets to the lane. House spins, fall away over Timbila. Couldn't quite get the roll. Hit off the rim 3 separate times, shot no good. Johnson the rebound the other way. On the near wing, screen from Timbila. Johnson dribbles left, inside, lefty floaters, money. That's Jackie Johnson's shot. And finally, somebody on the board here, more than 2 minutes gone by, second half. It's 41-34 Rhode Island. Lawrence straight away for URI. Handoff on the far side for Thomas. Top of the key, this is Brown. Down low, Lawrence, back to Brown. Took contact as he went up with the shot. And free throws coming here for Javonte Brown.
Javonte Brown, really good this year. Knows where to go. He's a great screener, especially at the top of the key when it's Thomas or Green trying to come off one. And he knows where to roll to. Great seal, great rebounder on both sides of the glass. Brown has been so good.
Javonte Brown, one of those collegiate journeymen we've come to know over the last couple years. His URI is his 4th school in 5 years. Previously at Western Michigan, Texas A&M, and UConn as the first free throw goes for Javonte Brown, just a 58% shooter on the year. 17:35 to go in this second half. Rhode Island finally on the board in this second 20 minutes. Brown will crash the offensive glass, 6 in the A-10 in offensive rebounds per game, and he goes 2 for 2 from the line. Also so active with those blocks as well as Rhode Island's big man. 43-34 URI, 17:30 to go second half. Jackie Johnson straight away for Jameer Tripp. Tripp moving left, handoff on the outside for Medore. Medore circles right. Still on the outside, Medore gets inside on Thomas, got the roll off the glass and off the side of the rim. Strong move from Jaffe Medore.
That was a mean play offensively out of 0.
House, all the other way in transition. Euro step in the lane, he gets it to go. Jaden House, timeout called. Archie Miller wants to talk things over with his squad. as the layup from House restores the 9-point Rhode Island lead with 17:07 to go second half.
Yeah, he's been great so far. It's that first step, that Euro, Archie Miller definitely emphasizes, guys, how you maintain the ball on the gather, how you get guys out of position with a ball fake. Sebastian Thomas loves a pass fake as well. These guys really know how to use the basketball creatively when they're not dribbling it.
And they move so fast on the offensive end. I mean, that was on a made basket from Jaffe Medor, and you blink and Jaden House is already in the lane, Euro-stepping and getting to the basket.
Unreal level of play.
So it's 45-36 Rhode Island with 17:07 to go in the second half. As I mentioned before, if this result holds, it will be a rematch between Fordham and Rhode Island in the Atlantic 10 Championship down in D.C. on Wednesday afternoon. That'd be the third meeting of the season between these two teams. Not often you get to meet a team 3 times, but if Fordham can come back in this second half, that's going to be an irrelevant point, and they'll have a different time slot, a different opponent on Wednesday, because they'll jump over LaSalle into 14th place with a win.
That would be huge, huge for the Rams.
So 45-36 Rhode Island. The offense has not been the problem for these Fordham Rams this season, Chaz. They've had 6 45-plus point halves this season as a unit, but it just hasn't translated to wins. You know, the messaging from Keith Ergo all season long has been about being able to play 40 minutes of Fordham basketball, which we haven't seen all season. We've seen at times, we've seen 30 minutes, maybe 31 minutes, but too often there's been stretches where the team is just kind of forgets their teaching and kind of forgets where to be on the court, and in those stretches, that's where the opponent goes on the 10-0 runs. That kind of put Fordham in a 3-14 hole in the Atlantic 10.
It's so unfortunate, and there's so many different small issues that have caused Fordham to drop to last place in the Atlantic 10. But I'd say the overarching, or the biggest one, is just lack of mental toughness from the players when they see a lead slip away, or they see a team go on a big run. Rather than trying to double down, dig themselves in, and bounce back, they seem to fall away, and that's what's caused them to lose. People, even in the bad losses, VCU, the first Davidson matchup, they were in it for a while. The second Davidson game, senior night, they had a 3-possession lead for a good chunk of that game, and there's just been so many. Loyola Chicago as well, even the Dayton game. There were stretches that Fordham was tied at Dayton at half.
Yep.
And it just seems like the snowball effect is so apparent for the Fordham Rams. When one mistake happens, 5, and then you're out of the game.
That's exactly what they're trying to avoid in this second half, down by 9. You can't afford at this point even a mini snowball.
No.
Down by 9. It's got to be.
This is the result of a snowball.
It's got to be sharp, and it's got to be pretty perfect from here on out. 17:05 to go in the second half. Jaffe Medor dribbles the ball ahead for the Fordham, down by 9. Handoff for Jackie Johnson. Pass left straight away for Jameer Tripp. Handoff for Medor. High screen from Thambila. Medor moving right against Thomas. Medor will drive left into the paint with the right hand off the front of the rim. Rebound by House. He's bumped by Jameer Tripp in transition. That'll be a foul.
Gambling on defense will never get you where you need to go.
So Rhode Island will inbound side out. 16:48 to go in the second half. House will inbound here to Thomas in the backcourt. Medor providing some pressure. For Fordham, that's their 5th foul of the half as a team. Thomas, handoff on the far side. Lawrence, straight away, this is Javonte Brown. For Thomas again, up high against Thambila. Thomas to the near wing for House, to the corner. Green, his 3, off the front of the rim and out. Thambila rebound. Cross court to Jackie Johnson on the far side. Straight away for Josh Rivera. Thought about the 3. Will push it back to the far side for Johnson. Johnson, pass right straight away, Rivera. Rivera gets to the lane, out to the perimeter. Johnson again, fakes the 3. Now he'll try it, too strong. And a foul called down low against Abdou Thambila, jockeying for position with Javonte Brown. It'll be URI basketball.
Trying to get position there. You can't get your hand in there when you're ripping down on a player like that. That can't happen.
So Abdou will check out here for Matt Zona. Zona played just 8 minutes in that first half, getting his first looks here in the second.
Want to see some more 3s go up for Matt Zona.
Thomas across the timeline slowly for Rhode Island. Jaffe Medor watching him. Out to Lawrence on the far wing. Lawrence feeds the short corner for Green. Green attacks on Rivera, gets to the lane. Wild shot wouldn't go. Trip, couldn't secure the board. It goes out of bounds on the baseline as House provided the pressure. And that will send us into a timeout with 15:47 to go in the second half. Rhode Island 45, Fordham 36. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Evan Harkin, one of your New York Mets beat reporters for the 2024 season. Hop on the 7 train with us as we cover all things Mets at Citi Field. From walk-off home runs to post-game press conferences, we've got everything you need from Queens. So stay locked in for the entire game with me on Twitter at Ev Harkin, and let's go Mets. WFUV, your home for New York sports.
Score, Rhode Island 45, Fordham 36 with 15:48 to go in the second half here at the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island. This is Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. The Rams down by 9. Not a lot of scoring early in this second half, just 4 points apiece for each team. I think we haven't seen enough of these kind of stretches for Fordham this season, kind of the typical Keith Ergo Fordham stretches where you muddy things up on defense. The offense might not look so pretty, but it's defense first. And it's about getting stops.
Absolutely. That's how you're going to win games. That's how you maintain excellence off a comeback. That's how you dissuade people from getting a comeback against you. You have to start on the defensive side of the ball, especially if you're under Coach Keith Ergo. And he's recruited so many offensively skilled players that he tries to teach how to play his game his way. And so far, it doesn't seem like it's worked out that way this season.
For Fordham, down by 9 here, trying to avoid an 8th consecutive loss. They've had 2 separate 6-game losing streaks here in conference play to begin, as they started 0-6 in conference play, and then also these last 7 games, those wins against Duquesne, LaSalle, and then against Rhode Island seem like a long time ago. It's been a decent start to this second half for Fordham. Strong defensively. The shot's still not falling. Fordham shooting just 34% from the field and 18% from 3. But Rhode Island were their first 10 shots, made 7 or 8 of those first 10. Since then, it's come all the way down to 44% from the field for them. A testament to how Fordham have been able to tighten things up on defense and in transition, as we know this Rhode Island team likes to get out and run.
That triple overtime game versus UMass was just over a month ago.
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe.
Jaffe Medor for Josh Rivera, top of the key, out of the media timeout. Jackie Johnson has it. Straight away, Johnson drives left, high off the glass, he gets it to go. Such a pretty shot from Jackie Johnson.
Patented vintage Johnson there.
It's a 7-point Rhode Island lead. Sebastian Thomas on the near wing. Thomas, screen from Fuchs. Thomas, crossover on Zona from the free throw line, will float it up with the left hand and in. Sebastian Thomas, the quick release. It's back up to a 9-point Rhode Island lead. Medor at the URI logo. Bounce pass for Zona straight away. Handoff for Johnson moving left. Johnson will try the 3 and bury it. Jackie Johnson makes it a 6-point game. 47-41 Rhode Island. The other way, it's Sebastian Thomas for Fuchs. House on the near side wing. House, crossover on Zona. He'll drive out to the far corner. Thomas, the far wing 3, in and out. Rivera the board. Quickly ahead to Medor. Into the front court. Medor, crossover, took a bump going to the lane. It's going to be a foul on the floor. 14:36 to go, second half.
That's the play there. 5-0 run by Jackie Johnson by himself for the Fordham Rams. Been great, and Medor able to get out in transition. Hopefully another look here, make it a 2-possession game.
Give Jackie 19 points on the night. Just 2 turnovers to go along with that on 7 of 15 shooting. Fordham will inbound underneath through Jaffe Medor, down 47-41. Medor trying to flip up for Zona, deflected into the sideline by David Fuchs. And Fordham will inbound on that far side through Jameer Tripp. Fuchs so athletic, but also big enough to guard a guy like Zona. Trip into Rivera, top of the key. Rivera drives left. He lost his footing in the lane. That's going to be a travel on Josh Rivera.
Second of the game, too. Fortunate for Josh there. Not able to get his pivot foot down strong enough. Wanted the up and under, expected some contact, so put way too much weight on that outside pivot. And then just tripping over himself.
So Rhode Island basketball in the backcourt. Jabunji looking for an option, gets it into House. House pressured from Johnson in the backcourt, able to cross the timeline straight away. House, screen from Jabunji on the far side. Crossover, spins in the lane, blocked away by Rivera from behind. Rebound Zona, and Johnson can push the other way. Johnson, crossover up high, behind the back, was looking for Zona, miscommunication. Sebastian Thomas the steal. Going end to end, Thomas can't get the roll. Zona the board, up ahead for Rivera. He'll push, Rivera coast to coast, couldn't finish on the lay. Tripped the rebound, he missed as well. Third opportunity blocked too. And Matt Zona was fouled underneath. Fordham with 3 chances to put it in from point blank range. They couldn't. It's going to be a foul underneath.
Oh my gosh, that is got to be frustrating for the Ram faithful at home. The Bronx Rams, you got to be counting your blessings if you're a Rhode Island Ram fan there, because that looks like it was all Josh Rivera. He got someone one-on-one in transition. I think that speaks to the athleticism and length of Fuchs. He is an absolute monster out there.
6th team foul on Rhode Island. Rivera to inbound underneath, flips it up high to Johnson. Johnson drives left to the lane, lefty float, too strong this time. Rebound secured by David Green. House across the timeline on the far side. Fuchs the screen. Green feeds Fuchs down low, and they're going to get a foul on Matt Zona on that entry pass.
Sure there. I mean, Zona, again, they've been calling that a lot lately. On the post-entry catch for the big, you got to go hands off. Once he gets the ball, you can hand check him a little bit, but you got to take your hand off when he is about to receive that pass.
That's the 7th team foul on Fordham.
Oh, my gosh.
So in the bonus here, 1-on-1 chance. Shot no good from the line from Fuchs. The rebound, though, and it's to Thomas up high. Rhode Island keep the possession alive. After Fuchs missed the front end of the 1-and-1, Thomas drives right and finishes with the underhand leg. 49-41 Rhode Island. Medor into the front court for the Rams, for the Fordham Rams that is, with 13-18 to go second half. For Dean, top of the key. Dean moves right, handoff for Johnson, now snaking left. Back for Zona, near wing 3 off the heel. Rebound secured by Jabunji. Jabunji into the front court, contact down low between Fuchs and Zona. It's going to be another foul on Matt Zona down low.
Brutal.
Play away from the ball.
Oh, brutal. Zona looking to move in transition there and just getting some contact on Fuchs. You hate to see that, especially after allowing that layup for Thomas. Missing the 3, just not a good outing for the kid from Rockland.
2 quick ones on Zona. Fuchs, another chance, 1-on-1 opportunity. And he misses the front end again, but another offensive board for Rhode Island. Back-to-back missed front ends of a 1-and-1, back-to-back offensive boards. The 3 from Green on the near side, in and out, no good. Fordham finally able to secure a defensive board. Johnson the other way, screen up high from Timbila. Johnson to the near corner for Dean, fakes the 3, drives baseline, got up in the air. It's going to be a foul called on Green as Dean made his move to the basket.
And the Ryan Center wants to travel, and I think they're right to want it. Dean taking his extra step there. Green kind of moving in a little bit, but playing normal defense, not even contacting, trying to slide from the help spot. Dean runs into him, ends up taking the extra step, and it's a foul on Rhode Island.
So Fordham basketball underneath, just the 3rd team foul against Rhode Island. The Rams not in the bonus yet. High flip looking for Johnson, dangerous, almost in the backcourt. House and Johnson fighting for it. Johnson able to come away with the ball. Up high, Jackie at the free throw line, stolen away by Jabunji. House to Thomas, back for House, who lays it in. 10-point Rhode Island lead, 12:25 to go, second half, and the Ryan Center getting loud for the first time this afternoon. Jaffe Medor on the near side wing for Fordham. Up high looking for Timbila. Fuchs trying to break that one up. He gets called for the foul. But Rhode Island more aggressive in this second half, trying to bust up those plays on the perimeter.
They're trying to put it away early, especially because now they know that this is their matchup for the Atlantic 10 tournament for sure. They're getting them on Wednesday at 2 p.m. You have to think that the Rhode Island Rams want to make the Fordham Rams think they have no chance of beating them.
Josh Rivera will inbound right in front of us with 12-13 to go in the second half. The 10-point Rhode Island lead into Jaffe Medor up high for Fordham. Handoff for Jameer Tripp. Straight away, Tripp spins into the lane, took a bump, trying to find Timbila down low. Pass deflected into the far sideline. Fordham will keep it. 11 on the shot clock for Fordham.
The help defense has been really good for the Rhode Island Rams so far. That's how they've gotten so many steals, and they're able to go out in transition and get the buckets they need to get. That's how they like to score. It's all been help defense steals from the weak side. Great defensive sets by Archie Miller.
Rivera for Tripp, top of the key, driving right on Jabunji. Tripp for Medor, near wing. His three, too strong, would not go. Jabunji the rebound. Back the other way, poked away from behind by Tripp. But they're going to get Jameer on the foul, saying he caught some of the body.
See that there? I mean, you got to let the physicality play out and let the guys play some basketball.
With 11:53 to go in the second half, we've reached our under 12 media timeout. The score, Rhode Island 51, Fordham 41. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one scoreboard with Sophia Smith.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Checking in on the A10 in men's hoops, at UMass, the Loyola Chicago Ramblers beat the Minutemen 74-51. St. Bonaventure is locked in a battle against Davidson, the Bonnies leading the Wildcats 57-53 with 6:16 to go in the second half. In Philadelphia, the LaSalle Explorers are up 44-33 against the St. Joseph's Hawks at halftime. And later tonight at 6 p.m., the Richmond Spiders are hosting the dominant George Mason Patriots. Among a 10-game slate in the NHL today, the New York Rangers lost a crucial division matchup against Ottawa, the Sens captain Brady Tkachuk scoring in overtime to take the 4-3 win. And the Islanders are out west tonight to play the San Jose Sharks, puck drop set for 10 p.m. And finally, only one of New York's NBA teams is in action tonight, with the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Brooklyn Nets later tonight, tip-off set for 6 p.m. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Sophia Smith.
Welcome back inside the Ryan Center here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Nick Guzman alongside Chaz McAdams on the call. It's Rhode Island 51, Fordham 41 with 11:53 to go in the second half. Chaz, a real strong start to the half for Fordham. The offense has dried up over this last stretch. 0 for their last 6 from the field, just 2 of their last 10. 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes, and they haven't scored in the last 3 minutes as well. Rhode Island up by 10.
Yeah, and Rhode Island, again, not having their best game. Fordham's given them so many opportunities to balloon this lead, and they haven't taken it. Only 10 points for the differences in play so far seems low.
And Rhode Island already in the bonus.
That's what's going to kill them. That's what's going to kill them.
And Fordham's still far away, just 4 team fouls against Rhode Island compared to 9 against the Rams.
1 away from the double
in this second half.
With 10 minutes left, 12 minutes left.
And Chaz, they got Fuchs to miss the front end of both one-on-one opportunities that he had, then they just couldn't grab the rebound.
Offensive rebound both times, but also no score either time from that offensive rebound from the Rams. It's not like Rhode Island is playing their best basketball by any means. The reason the Rams are still in this game is Rhode Island has allowed them to be. The Rams have to take those Rhode Island mistakes and grab them.
Both teams trying to break prolonged losing streaks. Rhode Island losers of 4 in a row. Fordham losers of 7 in a row. 11:53 to go here in the second half. 51-41 Rhode Island. And it's going to be Quinton Jabunji at the free throw line for Rhode Island. 1-and-1 opportunity. Jabunji did not play as he makes the front end of the 1-and-1. Did not play when these teams first met in early February, but a transfer from East Carolina, previously spent time at Tennessee. He's found a role for himself off the bench, the senior from Montpellier, France. Second free throw good from Jabunji as well. 53-41 Rhode Island. Medor, with under 12 to go in the second half, crosses the timeline. Handoff on the far side for Josh Rivera. Timbila, handoff for Medor. Top of the key. Pushed left to Rivera on the far wing. Rivera backing down in the post against Estevez. Straightaway trip, fakes the three behind the back. Needs an option with 9 into the paint for Timbila. Timbila spins right, missed the hook off the front of the rim. Rebound Traore. Ahead for Cam Thomas on the far side wing. Thomas crossover on trip, drives baseline with the left hand. Circus shot, got it to go. Elite shot making ability from Cam Thomas to make it 55-41 Rhode Island, but a technical foul assessed to Cam Thomas.
Sebastian Thomas there.
Sebastian Thomas.
He looked like Cam Thomas out there.
I saw that move, Chaz, and I thought that guy has to be in the NBA.
Oh my gosh, the Ryan Center just woke up. South Kingston, tell me how you really feel.
Booing the call on Sebastian Thomas, rather. These fans love Sebastian Thomas at 17.4 points per game. Jaffe Medor knocks down the first technical free throw. He's been able to do everything for this Rhode Island team this year, Chaz, Sebastian Thomas. 17.4 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 6 assists, leads the A-10 in assists per game. It's not just the scoring, it's the facilitating as well.
Yeah, and his steals, too, on the other end are so good.
Second free throw, no good from Jaffe Medor. So it's 55-42 Rhode Island. Fordham basketball in the backcourt. That technical free throw broke an 8-0 Rhode Island run, but Fordham still have not made a field goal in the last 3:43. Medor, handoff for Ramad Dean on the near side wing for Jameer Tripp. Tripp straight away for Josh Rivera. Rivera drives from the elbow. He'll pull up. Shot no good. Thomas just able to save the rebound. Sebastian Thomas the other way. Out to the far wing. Estevez is 3, and he buried it. Cam Estevez knocks it down. It's a 16-point Rhode Island lead. 10:48 to go second half. Medor straight away. Fordham trying to call a timeout. They do. Keith Ergo will talk things over with his squad. 10:43 to go second half. All of a sudden, a 58-42 Rhode Island lead. It's an 11-1 run, Chaz, over the last 2:45.
Yeah, they've been unreal. The Rhode Island Rams have really been feeling the presence of the Ryan Center. This crowd came to life. It's spring break, and I see a lot of students out here in this section. Clearly, these home fans love their team, and they love Sebastian Thomas, and he's been the spark plug. But I told you, you can't go wrong with that perimeter shooting from now. When they make them, it's always in big moments.
Thomas had a quiet first half, just 5 points. He's up to 11 already with 10:43 to go in the second. And he's been a big reason why Rhode Island now have outscored Fordham 17-10 in this second half to open up the lead. 6 points here in the second half for Thomas on 3 of 6 shooting. And for Fordham, the well has just dried up offensively. And then when you can't get the stops, like you mentioned, Chaz, the snowball effect, all of a sudden it's a 16-point game.
And it's not out of reach yet, but the Fordham Rams have the climb back has to start right now. Right now.
The Fordham Rams still shooting just 31% from the field, 21% from 3. Those numbers, as you look at them, not good enough to win a game in the Atlantic 10.
Absolutely. There's no way that the Fordham Rams can be playing at this level and think they're going to have wins. They have to start being better on the defensive end if they want to win these games. I know we're harping on it, and it sounds like I hate to repeat myself, but it's a clear and present issue.
10:43 to go second half. Fordham will inbound coming out of this timeout through Jameer Tripp. They're down by 16 here in Kingston. Jaffe Medor has it straight away for Fordham. Watched closely by Sebastian Thomas. For Ramad Dean, top of the key. Dean moving right, handoff for Johnson, near wing Zona. His 3 would not go. Rebound loose. Dean fighting for it. It comes to Thomas, who can break the other way for Rhode Island. Sebastian Thomas spins, gets to the baseline. Down low, stolen away by Johnson. Read that pass perfectly. Johnson, bounce pass from Medor. Took the contact. Layup no good, but he'll go to the free throw line. Able to plant his feet and draw the bump from Javonte Brown.
That's what you like to see, playing with some energy, especially now this game. There's a whole new storyline, a whole new lens that we have to view this game through. This is the matchup you are getting on Wednesday in the nation's capital. So what can you do? What defenses, what offenses can you throw out to get them scared? to get them to know that this isn't the opponent. Again, Fordham could come back and get this game. But right now, the mentality should be for the Rams, what can you do to get in the head of Archie Miller and his staff so you can get a mental edge come Wednesday in the nation's capital?
It is a really interesting mental game, knowing that if this result stays the same way, that you're going to be meeting again in a do-or-die game in just a couple days on Wednesday down in D.C. Fordham, either way, I think, as Medor makes the free throw, will have confidence that they can compete against this Rhode Island team, not just because of this afternoon, but because of what happened a month ago at the Rose Hill Gym as well. So it's 58-44 as Medor makes both free throws. Fordham down by 14 now, 10 minutes to go in the second half. Fordham in the 3-2 zone. Thomas straight away, feeds Fuchs in the middle. Out to the far side, Traore, cross-court pass. Estevez, the deep three, no good. Traore, the rebound, puts it back up, wouldn't go off the heel. Then batted over the backboard. Last touch off Rhode Island Fordham basketball. They survive that sequence.
The vision of these Rhode Island Rams. They've got 10 assists on the night, and they have been so good at being able to find the extra pass, find the open man.
It's now over 5 minutes since Fordham have last made a field goal. Jackie Johnson has it up high for Fordham. For Jaffe Medor on the far side. Screen from Zona. Medor. Shake and bake up top. Medor picks up his dribble to Johnson on the near side wing. Traore got a hand on it. Johnson trying to save it on the sideline. He couldn't. That's going to be a turnover on Jackie Johnson because of the active hands by Drisa Traore. And Johnson gave him a little bump as he walked by. And both teams come together here. Archie Miller all the way down near the Fordham bench asking for a technical foul.
Archie Miller doesn't like it. He wants a review for a tech.
Signaling for the review is Archie Miller. Johnson did give him a little bit of a bump, and they are going to review it, and I wouldn't be surprised. Or they won't review it. No review. And Jabunji will inbound here for Sebastian Thomas, much to the chagrin of this URI crowd.
And this game is getting chippy, and again, the new lens, they play them in 4 days.
3-2 zone still for Fordham. Estevez to Thomas on the near wing. Thomas pass left. Jabunji drive baseline, couldn't get the layup to go. Traore with the rebound. 4 Fordham Rams surrounding him. Traore's pass will go to the backcourt. It's going to be a backcourt violation. They're going to talk about this one as Traore threw it back into the backcourt. I don't think it got tipped. That should be a backcourt.
No, Traore just launched it back there.
And it is going to be a backcourt violation. Fordham basketball, not sure why that's getting booed.
Well, I don't know what they expect. They thought it was a deflection. I think it's based on an Archie Miller reaction and this crowd really rallying around their coach.
So Fordham basketball, they'll inbound in the front court through Jameer Tripp. 9:04 to go second half, 58-44 Rhode Island. Tripp into Dean, back to Tripp up high. Tripp, crossover, will pass right to Johnson on the perimeter. Johnson moves it straight away for Dean. His three is good. Ramad Dean from downtown gets Fordham back within 11.
Ramad Dean coming back to life. Hasn't hit a three in a very long time for this Rams squad. His first score of the game.
Estevez for Thomas. Estevez on this near wing. Again, the 3-2 look from the maroon and white. Estevez to the near corner for Traore. Up high again, Estevez. Pass right for Thomas, has it up high. 9 on the shot clock. Thomas against Dean. Thomas will step back for 3 and can it. Sebastian Thomas putting on a show in the second half. Elite shot-making ability puts Rhode Island up 61-47. 8:15 to go second half. Jaffe Medor straight away. Medor, handoff for Johnson, the near wing 3. He can't respond. Fuchs fighting for the rebound with Zona. Last touch off Matt Zona. Rhode Island basketball.
And that 3 from Sebastian Thomas was magic. Cross, tween, snatch, step back, offhand in the face of his defender to balloon the lead back to 14 points.
14 points for Sebastian Thomas, but a highlight reel 14. He's made some tough shots this afternoon. Thomas in the front court for Rhode Island. Into the middle of the zone for Fuchs against Tripp. Fuchs drives, lost it as he went up, deflected by Tripp. Out of bounds in the baseline, Rhode Island basketball.
And that's going to be the intermediate timeout, but they want to protest. I think they might review the call. This could end up being Bronx ball.
It's going to be under 8 media timeout with 7:50 to go in the second half. The score, Rhode Island 61, Fordham 47. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios. Or actually, Chaz, you're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
This is Nick Palmer, one of your beat reporters for the 2024 New York Yankees. The Bombers are bashing their way to a playoff run with their prolific talent down the lineup. Will Aaron Judge best his AL home run record? Will Giancarlo Stanton shift into playoff form? You like jazz? For exclusive player interviews, recaps, and analysis, follow me on X at NickPalmer55. WFUV, your home for New York sports.
Welcome back to the great state of Rhode Island. The Rhode Island Rams with a 61-47 lead over the Fordham Rams with 7:50 to go in the second half. This is Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams, the regular season finale for both these teams in Atlantic 10 play, but they'll both be headed down to Washington, D.C. this week to compete in the A10 tournament at Capital One Arena. And if the result stays like this between Fordham and URI, as we've mentioned before, these two teams will run it back on Wednesday afternoon in A10 tournament play. Fordham would be the 15 seed, URI the 10 seed. Chaz, in this game, in this second half, Fordham still struggling so much on offense, shooting just 26%. They've held Rhode Island to just 7 of 19 from the field, but when you can't score yourselves, kind of the defensive effort, the defensive intensity in the second half kind of goes under the radar when you can't score.
Yeah, there's so much. It's so interesting here. It feels like we're almost in a baseball series where you're going to face these guys next, so what do you throw? What do you not throw? You save it? Are you keeping anything in your back pocket for DC? Very interesting, but I think the Rams are just trying to come out here and get this game back to being competitive, because right now it is roadie.
For Fordham, Jackie Johnson with a game-high 19 points on 7 of 17 shooting for Rhode Island. Sebastian Thomas had 5 in the first half, but 9 quick ones in the second, 14 for the game. Jaden House right behind him with 13. Rhode Island to inbound underneath through Thomas with 7:50 to go in the second half. Thomas directing traffic. That's going to be a 5-second call as they did not get it in on time. Sebastian Thomas frozen trying to inbound that ball. Fordham basketball.
That's what you need. The Rams from Rhode Island for the first time looking to sleep at the wheel.
Jaffe Medor up high for Fordham. Medor moving left on the perimeter. Has it on the far side. Straight away for Johnson. Johnson will attack. Takes a bump. Couldn't get the roll with the left hand. Tough break there for Fordham. And Thomas will bring it across the timeline for Rhode Island. Fuchs calling for it down low. Still the 3-2 zone for Fordham. Thomas to the far wing for House. Straight away. This is Thomas again. Thomas bounce pass to the lane for Fuchs. Out to the near wing. Estevez cans the triple again. Cam Estevez, 4 of 7 from downtown. He's got 12 points. It's 64-47 Rhode Island. Johnson for Zona straight away. Zona needs an option. Passes behind for Johnson. Johnson on the perimeter, driving left. Gets to the lane. He turned it over. Sebastian Thomas the other way, 3-on-2. Thomas will pull up and launch the 3. He buries it. Sebastian Thomas makes it a 20-point Rhode Island lead with 6:46 to go in the second half. Chaz, typically an ill-advised shot, the 3 in transition, especially when you have numbers. Not for Sebastian Thomas.
Wow, Sebastian Thomas, man, coming out swinging on that. That shot, that was unreal. That was just candid pull up. He's in a flow state right now. 20-point lead for Rhode Island. And they, again, I said, if you're in the mentality of Archie Miller right now, you want Fordham to go into Wednesday's A10 tournament matchup hoping on a prayer to keep it competitive, not thinking they can win at all. And this game is showing that result right now.
It is a 9-0 run for Rhode Island with over the last minute 36. Fordham are one of their last 12 from the field. They haven't scored in the last 2 minutes. And it feels like they've barely scored in this half, Chaz. Just 15 points on the board in the second half with just 6:48 to go. Fordham find themselves down by 20. Make it 17 points now for Sebastian Thomas. 5 turnovers as well, but that's kind of what you're going to get from him when he's making those kinds of passes, making those kinds of plays. Had 5 turnovers versus St. Joe's as well. But when he's making the impact he is on the offensive end, the energy he provides, what a player for this Rhode Island team. Fordham will inbound out of the timeout, 6:45 on the game clock. They're down by 20. Ryan Pettis into the game, pushes it straight away for Jameer Tripp. Driving right on Fuchs. Tripp, the crossover to the baseline, spins in the lane. Tripp got the positioning, gets the finish and the foul. Strong work from Jameer Tripp down low. Great footwork. And he'll go to the free throw line for one more.
And he uses body too. Great way to maintain strength too. And that tough finish. He didn't expect to have that pivot option. Goes up, gets the N1. Nice finish from Brooklyn's finest.
And that will end Fordham's scoring drought. Jameer Tripp now into double figures with 10 points. And a chance for one more at the line. And Tripp connects to complete the three-point play, make it a 17-point Rhode Island lead. Backcourt pressure here for Fordham. Jabunji gets it into Estevez, double teamed by Pettis and Rivera, and that's going to be a travel against Cam Estevez. The press working perfectly for Fordham there as they force the turnover.
And that's all Ryan Pettis there, California's own, making his presence felt for the Rhode Island Rams, able to double up with Dean, get that ball out of there, and Estevez had nowhere to go. Great defensive play from the freshman.
Dean to inbound, gets into Jaffe Medor at the free throw line. Medor goes behind the back, gets inside. Medor off the glass and out. Putback is good from Jameer Tripp, and the foul. What a sequence for Jameer Tripp. Back-to-back three-point play opportunities.
And he's crashing the glass as well. Jameer Tripp is showing that he is not just an on-ball offensive player. Brooklyn's finest is able to get down and dirty in the paint with the best of them in the Atlantic 10. Great play from number 3.
And Tripp at the line for one more. 13 points now for Jameer to go along with 6 rebounds as he got that putback to go. And Tripp bends the knees. Free throw would not go, in and out. So a point left on the board there for Jameer Tripp. 67-52 Rhode Island. 6:15 to go, second half. Sebastian Thomas at the logo for URI. Watched closely by Jameer Tripp. Screen from Fuchs. Thomas, crossover up high, gets to the lane. Thomas lost the handle, stolen by Medor. Back the other way, Jaffe Medor lays it up and in off the glass. 67-54, it's a 13-point game. In the backcourt, Thomas double teamed by Rivera, and Medor pass off a Fordham leg out of bounds. Rhode Island will keep it, but that press causing a little bit of havoc early.
And this ball pressure has been fantastic from the Rams from the Bronx, and it's been all Ryan Pettis. That check-in was huge. Estevez had nowhere to go again. Green coming in now. These Rhode Island Rams seem a little discombobulated. They seem a little shook up.
5:50 to go, second half. Fordham have cut this thing down to 13. It was at 20 just a few moments ago. Just 42 seconds ago, Chaz. A 7-0 run has made it a 13-point game in no time. And that's exactly what Fordham needed to try to get themselves back into this game.
That's Fordham's first multi-possession scoring run in a very long time.
David Green into Thomas, double teamed by Rivera and Pettis. Again, Thomas just has to throw it off the legs of Rivera, out of bounds on the baseline.
Now, I have a question that I don't know the answer to. Does the 10 seconds reset on the inbound?
It's a good question, Chaz, one that we should know.
A rule I wish I knew.
Green will inbound underneath for Rhode Island. Ahead for Fuchs. The pass way up ahead to House, who throws it down. 2 passes. Rhode Island covers the length of the floor. And a dunk for Jaden House.
I mean, you had to see that coming.
69-54 URI. 5:33 to go. Second half. Jameer Tripp, top of the key. He'll drive left on House. Tripp, tough move. Hug in the air, but couldn't get the roll. Rebound comes to Josh Rivera, who took a bump as he made his move in the lane.
And that's only the Rhode Island Rams. Oh, their 9th foul. Oh my God, I read that backwards. They're playing great offense so far, the Fordham Rams. Josh Rivera with the one-on-one opportunity. Big free throws for him. Again, this is a point of emphasis for his game in the offseason. Look to make it a 3-4 possession game right here, right now. You gotta maintain excellence in that press. You can't under-communicate.
Rivera makes the first free throw, make it 69-55. Josh at just 53% from the line on the year, but he's looked so much better coming off the bench compared to those 3 games where he was in the starting lineup.
It's the same with Zona as well. Putting them in the starting lineup, those are 2 guys that are veterans of the game. They need to see it play out. They need to see the chess pieces move across the board, see where they can get their points.
Rivera makes both at the line. It's a 14-point Rhode Island lead. 5:24 to go, second half. The inbound to House. Dean on him. House accelerates across the timeline. Will go all the way, feeds it off, and the finish. Great move from David Green. Rivera back the other way, up and under on the reverse. What a move from Josh Rivera to get the response. It's 71-58, Rhode Island.
All right, now you got to make the pressure felt. Someone's got to get back.
Thomas slips right by Medor. Numbers for Rhode Island. Inside for Green, off the glass and in. Archie Miller is fired up. 73-58, Rhode Island. 4:55 to go, second half. Timeout called. And Chaz, Rhode Island, when they can get the ball moving quickly in transition and get to the basket, getting through that Fordham press, better than any team.
Yeah, especially you don't want to give them fast break opportunities when you don't need to. The Fordham Rams have to know that back half of the press is so important. That's what killed them versus Manhattan. That's what got them killed versus Davidson on senior night. You have to learn from your mistakes. This can't keep happening over and over again.
Archie Miller calls the 30-second timeout. This crowd getting into it here at the Ryan Center. And this is a Rhode Island team, Chaz, that was 6-7 a couple weeks ago and really had their eyes set on that middle of the pack in the Atlantic 10, but 4 straight losses mean they're going to be a day 1 team. But trying to end with some momentum and some speed behind them before they jet down to D.C. 4:55 to go on the game clock. It will be Fordham basketball coming out of this timeout, but now Fordham needing to make up a 15-point deficit in under 5 minutes. It's going to be tough to do. And Chaz, it's kind of the way the press has looked all season long, where there's stretches where it looks really good. They're forcing turnovers, but then a couple times it'll just get jailbroken, and that lead gets extended right back up.
Those guys at the half court can't fall asleep even though they're not on the ball.
Inbound to Medor. Fordham down by 15. Jaffe has it for Jameer Tripp up high. Screen from Pettis as Tripp moves left. Crossover into the lane. Tripp spins, went up with it, stripped away. Back the other way comes Rhode Island. Lawrence for Thomas. His 3 off front rim. Couldn't quite get the roll. It bounced 3 times on the rim. Fuchs the rebound. Threw it all the way into the backcourt. It'll go out of bounds on the other side of the court. And Fordham will inbound underneath the basket they're trying to score on.
Fuchs falling on Ryan Pettis as well.
4:31 to go in the second half. 73-48 Rhode Island. Rivera, Dean, Pettis, Tripp, Johnson, the 5 for your Fordham Rams. Inbound to Jameer Tripp up high. Tripp against House, screen from Pettis. Tripp feeds down low. Pettis off the glass and in. Great find from Tripp. Great movement from Ryan Pettis. And again, the full court press. Pettis got a hand in there, but he's fouled as Thomas got the ball. And Sebastian Thomas will head down to the other end of the floor for 2 free throws.
And that's not the guy you want to send to the free throw line. I know he just shoots on shy under 70%, but Thomas is in a flow state right now where you can't let him. If you want him to be on a cold streak, you got to maintain that. Deny ball out of him. Don't know if I agree with the foul call there, but these next 4 minutes, with the way this press is going, the Fordham Rams could make it competitive.
2 shots for Thomas. The first is off the heel and out. Sebastian Thomas, his first year here at Rhode Island, coming from Albany. He was the America East scoring champion last season and was heavily sought after in the transfer portal a year ago. Thomas makes the second free throw. He goes 1 for 2 from the line. 74-60 URI. 4:15 to go, second half. Time running out on the Fordham Rams in this Atlantic 10 regular season. Bounce pass to the far side for Pettis. Pass right to Rivera. Out to the far wing, Dean. He'll launch the triple. Didn't hit the rim. Pettis kept it alive with the rebound, but it comes here to Rhode Island. The other way, Fuchs will throw it down. David Fuchs, the exclamation point. It's a 16-point Rhode Island lead. Tripped the other way, threw a lob for Rivera. He caught it, came down with it, and was fouled. With 3:53 to go in the second half. That will take us to our under 4 media timeout. It's Rhode Island 76, Fordham 60. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one scoreboard with Sophia Smith.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
In the men's top 25 today, earlier the number 6 St. John's Red Storm beat the number 20 Marquette Golden Eagles 86-84 in overtime. The number 14 Louisville Cardinals are currently leading the Stanford Cardinal. The score is 64-47 with 59 seconds left in the second half. And the number 1 Auburn is hosting number 7 Alabama, where the Tigers just took a 50-48 lead against the Crimson Tide with 16:11 remaining in the game. In the men's A10, the matchup between Davidson and St. Bonaventure just concluded, the Bonnies taking the win 64-61. And in Philly, the LaSalle Explorers are leading the St. Joseph's Hawks 50-40 with 15:40 remaining in the second half. Finally, 2 tri-state teams will be playing later tonight. The Brooklyn Nets against the Charlotte Hornets, tip-off at 6 p.m., and the Islanders face off against the San Jose Sharks at the Shark Tank, puck drop set for 10 p.m. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Sophia Smith.
Welcome back to Kingston, Rhode Island. Score URI 76, Fordham 60 with 3:53 to go in the second half. Nick Guzman here alongside Chaz McAdams. Seems like Fordham going to most likely come up short again in this one. That would make it an 8-game losing streak for the Rams heading down to D.C. for the conference tournament. Not where you want a 3-15 conference record. Things have not gone well for the Rams this season, obviously. The defense has struggled. The offense has struggled at times as well. And it's just been an incredibly disappointing pill to swallow for people who follow this program. I think you see the heights of 2 years ago. You see the team struggle last year, but you felt like the pieces were in place to be able to bounce back this season. And it really just hasn't played out that way.
No, not at all. An 8-game losing streak. The longest losing streak of Keith Urgo's tenure here during conference play. Unfortunate. It's looking like it's gonna end up like that, and you just have to hope that things change at the nation's capital neutral site.
3:55 to go in the second half. Rhode Island 76, Fordham 60. Jackie Johnson with 19 points leads the way for the Fordham Rams. Sebastian Thomas has put on a show in this second half. His stat line, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. And making it happen for URI out there. And Fordham at the free throw line here after the foul on Green. It will be 2 shots coming for Josh Rivera with Fordham in the double bonus, 10 personal fouls against each team. But it's been inconsistency has been the name of the game for Fordham this season. Just not able to put together enough stretches consistently of winning basketball. Whether that's stops on one end, scoring on the other. The referees here will pause, screaming at the Rhode Island bench for something. And it's going to be Green who has to check out.
Jersey?
Possibly a jersey issue. Green out, Jabunji is in. And free throws coming here for Josh Rivera after the delay. Fordham in this second half, 35% from the field, 20% from deep as Josh Rivera misses the first free throw off the heel. It's been a problem for him all season long, down near 53% from the line on the season. And Josh takes so much contact going into the lane. Second free throw off the heel again. An 0 for 2 trip for Josh Rivera. Rebound secured by Jamarcus Lawrence. 3:45 on the game clock. Lawrence up high. Swung to this near wing for Sebastian Thomas. Pettis watching him closely. Thomas. Cross-court pass to the far corner. The three is perfect from Jamarcus Lawrence. The vision from Thomas to find him, and the shot-making ability from Jamarcus Lawrence. 79-60 Rhode Island. 3:22 to go, second half. Jameer Tripp straight away. Out to the far wing, Johnson feeds the post for Rivera, low block. Rivera, righty hook shot. Couldn't get the roll. Rebound, Fuchs. And Thomas will carry ahead with 3:09 to go, second half. Rhode Island shooting 10 of 25 from deep in this game. That's 40%. Thomas out to the far wing. Step back from Lawrence. He got a ton of space off of Dean, but couldn't get the roll. It goes in and out. Fordham rebound. But I believe it's going to be a foul underneath against Jackie Johnson. They'll get him for a hold.
That is so unfortunate. The Rams, again, just cannot catch a break on any level. Any level.
And 2 shots coming here for Fuchs. So it seems like Fordham are going to end here, Chaz, on an 8-game losing streak. 3-15 in A10 play. As Fuchs, first free throw, off the rim and in. The 3 wins coming against Duquesne at the end of January, then against LaSalle in early February, and then Rhode Island at the Rose Hill Gym. That's been it across the last 3 or 4 months for Fordham fans to cheer about. And second shot coming here from Fuchs. There's 2:57 on the game clock. It's 80-60 Rhode Island. As Fuchs can't get the second free throw to go. Rebound underneath by Rivera. Pettis into the front court for the Fordham Rams. And an illegal screen called on Ramad Dean, and that will be another turnover for Fordham. Dean calls the illegal screen. It's a 7-0 Rhode Island run. Who've made 7 of their last 9 field goals, knocking down their shots from the line. And Jabunji will inbound right in front of Chaz.
Right here.
Jabunji gets that one into Lawrence. Rhodey in no hurry here. Jabunji drives left on Riley, lost the handle, out of bounds on the baseline. Last touch on Zach Riley.
And you got to think just here, again, the lens we've been looking at since we got that notification that UMass fell to Loyola Chicago. I like the look out here right now with Matt Zona at the 5, trying to spread these lineups out, getting a lot of minutes for Pettis, seeing what he can do.
House up high, uses the screen from Fuchs, spins in the lane on Riley, all the way to the cup. He gets it to go with the right hand. Jaden House, an elite move to spin to the rack. Jaffe Mador on this near wing, took a bump from Fuchs up high. That's going to be a foul on David Fuchs. 2:19 to go, second half, 82-60 Rhode Island. This is going to be another blowout loss for this Fordham team for Rhode Island. They've allowed 80-plus points in 10 of their last 13 games. They'll snap that skid here against Fordham with the Rams only at 60 here with 2:19 to go second half. First free throw, no good from Jaffe Mador. Fordham 13 of 19, make it 13 of 20 now from the free throw line. Second shot from Mador is good. 82-61. It's been an off day for Jaffe. 3 of 11 shooting, just 1 assist, which is uncharacteristic.
Yeah, since that GW game, he really hasn't looked like himself. Hopefully we get a different Jaffe Mador come Wednesday.
Thomas for Fuchs, top of the key. Thomas trying to come up to the perimeter for the handoff. He got it. He's fouled hard by Pettis from behind. 2:04 on the game clock. The foul charge to Ryan Pettis. 2 more shots coming for Sebastian Thomas. Will try to get to 20 points on the afternoon.
Thomas done so much for this Rhode Island crowd. His senior night, trying to end things, end his time in the Ryan Center his way. The last game he'll play in the Ryan Center.
Thomas, Green, Brown, House, and Jabunji all honored before the game as seniors for this Rhode Island program, as Thomas makes the first free throw. 83-61 URI. A lot of those guys just got here this year or last year, but already making their presence felt in this program. Archie Miller in charge now for this is his 3rd season. We're 6-12 last year, 5-13 in the A10 the year before.
Yep.
And they're going to finish out here at 7-11 as Pettis is fouled up high by Thomas. But things haven't gone that well for Archie Miller here in Kingston, but finishing the A10 schedule on a high note, even though they'll have to play day 1 down in D.C.
But they're playing a team that they know they can beat.
This will probably give Rhode Island so much confidence knowing that this Fordham team is here going to play. And they've put on a show here at home. Pettis makes the first free throw.
Dare I say trap game.
Dare I say trap game.
Dare I say trap game.
I mean, the footage will be fresh for both teams. The film will be fresh. Not very often you play a team on a Saturday and you get to turn around and play them again on the Wednesday. I think for Fordham, that's got to serve as quite the motivator considering you're down by 22 here. You have a chance to prove down in D.C. as Jaffe Medor intercepts that cross-court pass and will go coast to coast. Couldn't get it to go. Jaden House, the foul as he got back on defense, but 2 more shots coming for Jaffe Medor.
And I don't think these two teams like each other. That
Not at all.
level of motor out of House seems to show that there's going to be some bad blood, and we might see some more action like that in the nation's capital on Wednesday.
I mean, there was the tech on Thomas earlier. There's a little bit of a bust-up between Johnson and Green right by the Fordham bench about 10 minutes ago. I think it's very clear these two Rams teams don't like each other.
It's literally two Rams just clashing horns.
Jaffe Medor misses the free throw off the heel. The offense really has gone quiet for Jaffe across this recent stretch, especially when you consider the efficiency. He was just 2 of 7 from the field against GW in 25 minutes for 7 points. This afternoon, 11 points, make it 12 on 3 of 11 shooting, and 4 of 8 from the line. House looking to inbound to Thomas. Fordham still in their press. Pettis watching him, and now Pettis will back off. It's a 20-point Rhode Island lead, 1:40 to go in this second half. Thomas at the URI logo with Ryan Pettis watching him in no hurry with House up high, moving right against Medor. House crossover, gets to the lane. Righty shot wouldn't go, too strong, but a foul call as Jaden House went up with it. Keith Ergo doesn't like that one, but it'll be called on Matt Zona.
That right there at the end. These refs. There's been a disparity in the foul calls all day. Both teams in the bonus now, but there's a definite sense of how this Rhode Island team is going to play coming down the stretch. They're going to play till they hear the buzzer, play hard, and these refs are doing the same in kind.
It's been just a rough afternoon in all accounts for this Fordham team. 1:21 on the game clock. House sinks both free throws. That will make it an 86-64 Rhode Island game. 1:18 on the game clock. Pettis up ahead. Medor straight away. Medor cashes the shot from distance. It's going to be a 3 for Jaffe Medor, 86-67 Rhode Island. Pressure in the backcourt from Riley and Pettis all the way up court. And on the far side, the 3 no good from Estevez. Dean the rebound for Pettis the other way. He'll step into a triple off front rim. Thomas the rebound with 45 seconds to go. 86-67 Rhode Island. And the URI Rams in no hurry. Sebastian Thomas will hold at the logo. And it's going to be a timeout called by Rhode Island. They'll get some substitutions in. 36 on the game clock. Jamin Aponte into the game. Traore into the game. Some guys who don't play that much. With 36.8 to go. They'll give Sebastian Thomas a standing ovation. They'll give Jaden House a standing ovation as they exit. A much-deserved Thomas with 20, House with 19. They deserve the applause from this Ryan Center crowd.
Absolutely.
Inbounds here up top to Jabunji. And holding at the logo here is Cam Estevez. 30 on the game clock, 10 on the shot clock. These two teams will meet again on Wednesday in Washington, D.C. at the Atlantic 10 tournament. Fordham are going to have a better performance than they did this afternoon. Fuchs' wild shot at the end of the shot clock wouldn't go. Jaffe Medor with the shot clock turned off, 10 on the game clock. He will hold in front of the Fordham bench, and that will do it here from the Ryan Center. Final score, Rhode Island 86, Fordham 67. The Rams end their regular season on an 8-game losing streak, 3-15 in conference. They split the season series with Rhode Island, but as we've been hyping up, Wednesday afternoon it will be Fordham and Rhode Island again from Washington, D.C.
Fordham and Rhode Island, this is the matchup. Keith Ergo got to see his first game back from his suspension. This is the matchup, was his last regular season game this season for the Fordham Rams, and this will be his first A-10 matchup the 15-10 game, 2 p.m. on Wednesday in the nation's capital. There's been some words back and forth. There's been technical fouls today. It seems like we'll see some extracurriculars next time out, but I'm excited to go down to D.C. with you and producer Lou Orlando and just watch and call some Fordham basketball.
I think it's going to be a chippy one for sure. Final score 86-67 Rhode Island. And leading scorer Sebastian Thomas, 20 points. Jaden House with 19 for Fordham. Jackie Johnson with 19. Jaffe Medor with 15. But for Fordham, the efficiency on the offensive end just not there. They end up shooting 34% from the field, 24% from deep. Rhode Island 48% and 37% from deep. Fordham had a narrow 1-point win earlier against Rhode Island, but this time in Kingston, the Rhode Island Rams able to come out on top. We're pleased to be joined now by Fordham men's basketball assistant coach Ronald Ramon. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Tough 19-point loss here in Kingston. You end the regular season on that 8-game losing streak. What did you see that gives you hope, though, heading into A-10s?
I think guys are playing hard, man. The guys are not quitting. Plays like the last one where Jaffe still goes, get the steal, goes to the basket trying to score. That shows that our guys are still engaged. They're still going to try to make a run here in the A-10 tournament. We just got to finish strong. At the end of the year, we always talk about being the best team we could possibly be, and that's what we're thriving for right now. We got a day or two to go back, kind of change our heads, and anything can happen in the A-10 tournament.
Did it change your mentality at all, or was there any awareness of the fact that with the UMass loss to Loyola Chicago, you are facing Rhode Island on Wednesday?
I had no idea during the game. Obviously, now we're going to go back and talk about it. It actually helps. You can go back, see the things that you didn't do well. You have a few days to kind of readjust. We're playing in a neutral site, and now, you leave everything on the floor and possibly just play the best defense we could possibly play and leave it all on the floor for each other.
Coach Ramon, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
That's Fordham men's basketball assistant coach Ronald Ramon. Final score, Rhode Island 86, Fordham 67. Chaz, Coach Ramon's right in terms of you turn around and play this exact same team on Wednesday. That seems like best case scenario. Yes, you lost by 19, but this is a team you've now faced twice this season. You know what it's going to take to beat Sebastian Thomas, to beat these talented players. It's going to be a battle down in D.C., neutral site. I think Rhode Island definitely took advantage of the home court here at the Ryan Center, but I think it's probably best case for Fordham that they're playing a team that they just saw come D.C.
Yeah, I mean, it's fresh in your minds, and they don't want to lose to this team. They definitely don't like this team. These teams don't like each other. Should be a nice and chippy matchup. I saw a lot of great things from Ryan Pettis on the defensive end. Jameer Tripp had one of his best games, probably his best game in conference play since LaSalle. So, again, for the Rams, you got to just look ahead and have that goldfish memory that I talk about all the time and try to maintain some excellence on the offensive end of the basketball. Try to get your bearings back on defense and just figure out how to play your game your way. And it's win or go home. You want to be the former rather than the latter.
So Rhode Island snaps their 4-game losing streak to end the season. They finished the year at 18-12 and 7-11 in the Atlantic 10. For Fordham, they're going to end their regular season on an 8-game losing streak. They're 3-15 in the A-10. That's dead last in 15th place, 11-20 overall. But Fordham, the season not over yet. We'll have you covered down in D.C. on Wednesday afternoon for Fordham against Rhode Island from the Atlantic 10 tournament.
So when I say,
but here from Kingston, that'll just about do it for me and Chaz McAdams. Final score, Rhode Island 86, Fordham 67. We'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one postgame with Ilya.
What the heck happened?
The one-on-one postgame report.
86-67, the final in the Battle of the Rams, with the Rams beating the Rams. That is Rhode Island topping Fordham. Fordham drops its 8th consecutive game to end the season. Rhode Island snaps a 4-game losing streak. And Sophia, alea iacta est. The die is cast. We will have another battle between the Rams and the Rams coming up on March 12th at 2 p.m., as Chaz said, in D.C. to start the A-10 tournament. So, before we get into breaking down this game, I'm interested in what Nick and Chaz were talking about at the end. Nick alleged that this was the best-case scenario for Fordham in terms of the opponent they could face, because now you've seen Rhode Island twice. Do you agree with that take? Would you like to see a team you just lost to by 19 4 days later? Or what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that that's a good point. They know what they're going up against, and I'm hoping that maybe this loss will create, like, if you know that you just lost against this team, you know what you have to do to win, hopefully. And so I'm thinking that maybe this will light a fire under them and they'll want to get some sort of revenge.
Well, it certainly seemed like there was a fire lit between both of these teams in that second half, as we heard a very chippy affair, a lot of technical fouls, a lot of fouls, and general, and let's start there. Because for Fordham, when we're doing the autopsy of this game, I mean, we were all saying it here in the studio to start the second half. 8 fouls in under 6 minutes to start the second half. Simply can't happen.
No, can't happen. It's so difficult because this was the last game of the season and you want to go out with a bang, but it didn't happen. And I hope that they can just wipe the floor and look ahead and just leave it all out there in their next game.
And that is exactly what they'll have to do. 40 minutes between them and the end of the season. That has to be what Keith Urgo is saying in the locker room and on the floor this coming week. In that respect, this was also a game that I think, at least, was closer than the scoreboard would suggest, if only because Fordham had it down to 47-41 early in the second half and immediately gave up an 11-1 run. This is something we've seen from Fordham a good number of times, kind of the similar phenomenon of you draw a team close and then you let them get away, or you go up by a decent amount and then you let the team draw you close and you end up letting the game slip away. Nick mentioned, and it's true, that Fordham played a lot of close games this year, despite being a team that ends up finishing A10 play 3-15 in the regular season. So Fordham has it within them to play close. What do you think they need to do this Wednesday against Rhode Island to make sure that they not only keep it close, but they put away the Kingston Rams at the end?
Well, they didn't lead once in this game, and I think that if Fordham wants to lead and win that game, then they just gotta, they obviously have to play better than they did today, but I think that, focus on defense, and then defense will lead to offense, and I think that's the main
That's
thing.
a very good point, especially considering that Fordham's model, as I alluded to earlier in the halftime show, has frequently been built on turning the other team over and producing easy looks. Not many easy looks to come by in this game. Fordham actually goes 11 of 31 in both halves. That's honestly kind of impressive. I don't know how you do that, shooting 11 of 31 exactly in both halves. And one final point to close out on, you said at the half that the stars were going to be the focus here. Jackie Johnson and his supporting cast needed to show up. He had 7 quick points to start the second half. Didn't score again. Meanwhile, Sebastian Thomas, how many times do we hear his name in the second half, went out and put up 20 on the game after only having 5 in the first half. How much of a key do you think it is for Fordham's big names, Jackie Johnson, Jaffe Medor, Jameer Tripp, and company, to show up against Rhode Island on Wednesday?
It's so important. They have to show up, and I think that playing against Sebastian Thomas today should help them because they know what they're going up against. They should know how to defend against him. Yeah.
Well, we will see if they are able to do that. Final score here on our Saturday game, the final game of the regular season, 86-67. Rhode Island takes down Fordham. We had Nick Guzman and Chaz McAdams on the call in Kingston, Rhode Island. Sophia Smith was with me as the updates woman. Trey Rodriguez was behind the board producing this one and engineering, doing double duty. And as your studio host one more time, I was Daniel Melia. You've been listening to Fordham Rams Men's Basketball. Fordham Rams Men's Basketball is a production of WFUV Sports.